it is, Jill.
Oh, I forgot to upload the new intro.
I saw the new intro. That was great. I can't wait for next week.
No,
Hi,
I can
everybody.
upload it now.
Sure. Let's say hello to all the fine people.
Yeah, hello everybody in the chat. I see there's a lot of interest in this episode, and that's exciting.
Good to see you all. Welcome. Hit the like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Anti-Derivative Jill's channel.
Thank you, Pop Culture.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hello, I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch and Infinite Combinations number 62. Today we're reviewing the next original series episode in production order, and it's the apple. But we also have our other wonderful friends here today, Scotty R37 and Pop Culture Curator. Thank you two for being here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jill. So good to see you all. I missed the last week or two, so glad to be here.
It's good to have you back, and Akuta Matana.
Thank you.
What a wonderful phrase. So everybody remember to keep Pop Culture Curator in your positive thoughts and prayers as he's going through this tough time. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you also to everybody who pulled together yesterday and the past couple days.
And a special shout out and thank you to my good friend Gorilla's Random Thoughts, who sacrificed his liver for me. I really appreciate it. You're a good man.
Yeah, he doesn't do that for just anybody.
No,
so you're someone special.
Yeah, very, very, very kind.
Yeah, and you should be having a rumblings tonight.
Yes, I will be having a rumblings tonight if everything holds up.
Yeah. And tomorrow on the Phantasmagorium, Scotty R37 is going to be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Incorrect.
No?
No. Tonight we're going to be talking about No Way Home, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about Into the Spider-Verse, everyone's third favorite Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, that's the animated one, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, in anticipation for Across the Spider-Verse. And then we're closing the book on Spidey and heading off into Jones territory. We'll be keeping up with the Joneses until the Dial of Destiny.
Okay. Fun.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Well,
3 out of 5 ain't bad.
Judging by the ratings, the reviews, and the box office predictions, it looks like it's going to be Dial of Disaster.
I can't wait.
Probably. So for a reference to the production of these episodes, some facts come from the Star Trek 365 original series book by Paul M. Block and Terry J. Erdman, but I also get some other stuff from other sources. And let's check out the apple. So actually, I want to give away the basic summary so no one has to worry about giving spoilers. I'm starting to try to experiment with doing things out of order, and we can do that. So the book says Kirk's landing party discovers firsthand that a seeming paradise can be a very dangerous place to visit. Within the first few hours on Gamma Trianguli 6, Kirk loses 3 crewmen to poisonous plants, exploding rocks, and non-weather related lightning bolts. To make matters worse, he can't beam the landing party back to the ship. Something is draining the ship's power, rendering the transporter useless. The inhabitants of the planet are simple, gentle people who make a daily offering of food, actually fuel, to the sophisticated computer they know only as the serpent god Ball. In return, Ball carefully controls living conditions on the planet, providing an Eden for its inhabitants. But Kirk and his crew, including those up on the Enterprise, are quite another matter. Ball is determined to eradicate their presence from its sphere of influence, unless, of course, Kirk destroys Ball first.
This is Star Trek's episode of the Time Machine. They're pretty much the Morlocks.
Oh, nice.
And the
are
Eloi.
They Morlocks or are they Eloi? Yeah.
It's the Morlocks and the Eloi, right?
For sure. And famously the Starsky and Hutch episode, because Starsky,
we do
or Hutch?
Hutch. I think Hutch. I think Starsky was the brunette, I think.
Okay. Oh, right.
David Soul, who had one song, Don't Give Up on Us, Baby.
But didn't the Morlocks prey on the Eloi?
They ate them. Oh, yeah, they ate them for food. But they're not going to show that in Star Trek. But it was the same. It was the exact same premise. They were there to serve. Oops. And they summoned them when they needed them. And all that.
Yes, they were using them. That's true.
Right, and they had it was more like a Sphinx type character, but they had let's just say a device that was the central meeting point. And here it's a snake's head, paper mache, but it still looks good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It looks great.
We get Chekhov with his real hair.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, no more wig. That's fun. I do want to say hello to the chat. Hello to Frankel Walker, the Phantom Boomer Explorers, the False Paradise Show. Says Alan Trioscillator.
Yes.
And Frankel Walker says Kirk arrives on a nice, peaceful planet, ruins it, then buggers off again, leaving them to sort out the mess. Cheers, Captain. Well, he says we'll help you, but okay, what that means.
Well, he loses several crew members, but they all leave on a good laugh.
Mm-hmm. Right, they do. They leave. Yes. Yes, this is possibly where the whole red shirt thing really started to take hold.
Really kicks in, right?
We see Mark Harkness says we see the Kirk corollary. I know this word.
Okay.
Corollary to the PD. If they're big enough to start pushing, they're big enough to get pushed back. Remember, once something knows you're there, doing nothing also affects them. Because if they decide that's how everybody will react to them, maybe next time it's a Klingon ship dropping by, and the Klingons will push back hard.
Good point.
I agree.
Two Klingons walk into a bar. The Romulan ducked.
True.
Mark Harkness says, I hear the Klingons now. Cowardly Romulan, afraid to meet on a steel head on. You're so creative there. And hello to Ree Babel. Greetings, Plus C Nation.
Hello there.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Or should I say anti-derivatives?
Anti-derivative.
No, I love the
anti-derivative. Okay.
I love the Plus C Nation. That's pretty cool. It works for me. Mark says,
thank you guys. Thank you for saying hello. And I want to reply back to everybody. You guys are wonderful. I love you guys. And it's so good to see you all here today.
Yeah, I know it is. Ever notice that guys whose father knew Kirk didn't end well? Oh, yeah, no. No, it didn't. Yeah, but I did.
Oops, sorry. Right. Yeah, I do have to leave my alerts on because I'm expecting to hear from my social worker. I apologize, guys.
That makes sense. Oh, I'm glad you got that process started.
Well, I don't know. I'll know once I speak to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. That red shirt helped Kirk get into the academy, his father rather. And I like that they actually care about the red shirts a little bit.
Yes.
Russ Cagle says Picard brought home his share of fallen fathers as well.
Sometimes he had sex with the widows.
Says Wes Cagle. And Edge of Time says ahoy.
Ahoy, Edge of Time.
He does. Could you read this for me, Scotty?
Absolutely. Pay attention to the one character for whom JJ Trek was an upgrade, Mr. Hendorf. And Mark Harkness continues for clarification, a.k.a. Cupcake. It's good to see Fiona M. here. I finally got the day right. Yay!
Oh, Fiona.
No longer princess. Fiona.
Hello, good to see you.
So great.
Queen.
Yeah, Queen. Hello, Princess Fiona. I said it. Hello, Fiona.
Milady.
I'll get used to it. Hello to Sean Carter.
Hello, Sean Carter. So good to see you. And there's Gorilla. Hello, Gorilla. A little sober now, mostly sober. As long as you don't have alcohol poisoning, Gorilla, it's good to see you.
I think right. He did have to leave the show earlier last night, but he came back
and he had to end the stream for me, I guess, because
that's right. It was all perfect. It worked perfectly.
I mean, it's like having a host. It's like you guys are all over my house visiting, and I just go in my room and go to bed and leave everybody in the living room, and it's like I feel terrible.
I've done that.
Well, if the host does leave, it is time to go. It would have been.
I guess that is time to go, right? Everybody looks at each other awkwardly. Well, I guess that means it's time for us to go.
I'm gonna go check and see what's in the fridge first. Right, and then we'll go.
Yeah, let's raid the fridge first, right?
Where's the next party? Frank Walker is saying hello. And Fiona says, it's Starsky and Hutch. It's the Starsky and Hutch episode. Still blows my mind. Yeah, I didn't know that until I read some of the book. Well, I'll read about that. Actually, I can read about that now.
He also starred in the fantastic made-for-TV movie Salem's Lot.
Ooh.
Let's see.
And here is our introduction and demise of Hendorf.
Red shirt number 1.
Oh, man. And yes, we do lose a lot of people, but Spock gets beat up all over the place.
He does. Like, 3 or 4 times he gets attacked one way or another?
Oh, yeah. Things that I thought would kill him twice. One of which, normal. But 2 of them, I was like, he's still alive? Okay.
Yeah, especially the lightning strike.
Well, we see Hendorf get struck with the barbs from the poisonous plant. And by the way, Kirk, when this happens, this is the first time you see this and you say, Scotty, beam us up.
Right. That's usually what happens when a red shirt dies. Kirk's like, oh crap, a crewman got killed. We got to reevaluate and let's go back to the ship. That almost always happens.
There's our canary in the coal mine.
Precisely. Good analogy. Yeah.
And of course, he grabs a flower and smells it. It's like, huh?
Okay, so since Princess Fiona is mentioning the Starsky and Hutch, I'll read the part of the book that talks about that. And it says, young love is difficult, but no more difficult than young film careers, which is why it's possible to play a game called Whatever Happened To. In the Apple, the lovely Sayana was played by Sherry Nims. Or Sherry, is it? And whose career was confined to only 3 roles, all in the year 1967. She first appeared in the feature film Easy Come, Easy Go, a rather forgettable Elvis Presley project. Shortly afterwards, she played Sayana in The Apple and later appeared uncredited in the episode The Wild Wild West, before apparently changing careers. For the actor who played Makora, however, Hollywood had other plans. He'd already appeared in Flipper and I Dream of Jeannie before stripping down for his one role in Star Trek. He spent the next 2 years co-starring in Here Comes the Brides, and subsequently took on dozens of roles in series ranging from Ironside to Murder, She Wrote, but perhaps viewers best remember him for the character he played on television from 1975 to 1979 and reprised in a feature film cameo in 2004. Both the series and the feature were titled Starsky and Hutch. The character was Detective Ken Hutchinson, and the actor, David Soul. And so, who is David Soul in this episode?
He was Makora. He's the
Yeah, we'll point him out when they show him. They all look this almost similar because of the makeup and hair, but we'll point him out when they show him.
Oh, Makora. Right.
Remember when we were watching this and I was like, oh my stars, it's a planet full of Trumps. It's orange people with white hair.
Oh, he's that. Is he the eyes and ears of
no
okay.
No, he's not Akuta Matana.
He's basically he's got the second largest role out of the men on the planet, right? As far as the size of the actors' roles, we have the main actor that they meet, who was in the inspiration for Gilligan's Island, Back from Eternity. He played one of the pilots of the airplane that crashed, and he's the main person they meet, and it's like basically his second or right hand man.
He's the first one to be curious about the touching. It seems pleasant. It does not gather food. It does not go for vol.
Cool. And so, despite the red shirt getting killed, Scotty's still interested in hanging out on the planet.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, our antimatter pods are dwindling. They're being sapped by something, but can I beam down and walk around this crazy planet that seems like Australia, where everything wants to kill you? Also, I did get a chance to watch this with the original special effects, and I think that one of the things that is taken away by the upgrade is that it is a distinctly red planet in the original. And this one, it's sort of the atmosphere. It doesn't look, it's got oceans. It doesn't look like it's got a red hue, but it certainly doesn't warrant
It's more earthy.
Yeah, it doesn't warrant the crimson sky that is present in the set. And I don't know how you guys feel. I kind of think that this episode would have benefited from actual on-location filming, but I guess you do.
I completely agree. Yes.
You have to have a planet that looks alien, and to achieve the red sky and the special effects with making the thunderclouds all red was kind of cool. Yeah,
it's like throughout the series, we're going to start seeing less and less location shooting.
True, and it is a shame. We'll get more, but not many.
Yep, but this is the biggest landing party they've ever had.
Yes.
Definitely.
We have 9 members.
How many transporter rooms are there on the Enterprise, the original Enterprise? Just one? I think so.
Did they ever establish it? How about you guys in the chat? Do you guys know?
That's an important question.
I'm surprised we haven't asked. Have we talked about that? I guess not.
I don't think so. I think it's one of those things that was introduced in Next Generation, where they go to Transporter Room 3 or whatever, based on the size of the ship. But this shows sort of the procedural of, we beam down 6 crew members and then 3 more. This is one of the few times that it's a landing party of more than 6.
Right. And every time we hear a reference, it's just the transporter room. So it's almost like the 6 of them beamed, and then after they beamed, the other one stood on the platform, and then they beamed down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. At least 4 transporter rooms.
On the original?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. This episode really could have benefited from a shuttlecraft.
True.
Right. That's what I was thinking. At a certain point, I thought, oh, hey, they can't use their transporters. I guess Scotty's going to go save them in the shuttlecraft. And no.
Oh, yes. Another Russianism. Oh,
yes. At least we
do.
do. Just outside of Moscow.
Lovely place. Written by Max ILIC.
Yes.
And Spock holds the tricorder away from him. Notice it's facing away from him, which shows us that the display is blank.
Yes. It seems to be the operating handling of it. Well, we see that in the background. Chekhov's looking at it head on. But I was always curious about the way that Spock handled the tricorder. He looks at it upside down. Maybe he can angle it. So it's an upside down image. If there was an image on the screen, you're absolutely correct.
Or maybe it has to face outward to do a scan. Maybe he has to point it towards the direction of what he's scanning, possibly. I don't know. That's what I always thought when I was a kid, maybe.
Okay, so this is Mallory. This is played by Jay Jones. And he's a recurring character. Even though he dies in this episode, he comes back for other roles.
I'll be back.
He gets back.
Yeah, he does. He comes back for the immunity syndrome piece of the action, Day of the Dove, Mark Gideon, and the Cloud Minders.
Oh, very busy.
Is the one where this is the one where he has the most lines.
And so we are. Oh, right. Here's Martha.
Martha, yes.
Martha and Pav.
And her and William Shatner really had the hots for each other. But at the time, she was married. But after she divorced, him and her dated for a short time.
Yeah. Well, and apparently, we'll get there when we get there. When we talk about the birds and the bees in the hut, we'll get there. But this is a romance, and Kirk admonishes Chekhov. I know you're fascinated with each other, but we're not here for a field trip for biological compatibility.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that he breaks that up. And Spock can also sense something artificial giving off vibrations, so that's what they're investigating. Gives them a place to go.
And we realize that one of the Velosians is sort of prowling around, but
kind of like Gollum.
Like Gollum, okay.
Yeah, just hiding around, moving like a cat.
There's a scene exactly like this from the Time Machine.
And this is something that I'd like to ask the chat, because there's a moment where Spock is sort of paying attention to this particular rock, and then he snaps it in half. It's fragile, excellent cleavage. What does that mean? What is excellent cleavage when it comes to geological analysis? What does that mean?
Focus on the rock, Spock, not the yeoman.
Well, yeah, but even Martha's not showing cleavage.
Cleavage describes how. Okay, so this is from minerals.net. Cleavage describes how a crystal breaks when subject to stress on a particular plane.
Right. Oh. A sharp division or a split.
Okay. I apologize for having my mind wander to the swimsuit issue, but I was just curious about the technical terms.
I thought about that too. And I really do I love his examination of this rock, because it gives us just a tiny bit of science before he just throws it and explodes. And Spock continues to just randomly throw things in this episode.
Right. And what's interesting is with the properties of that rock being the way they are, you would think it would have exploded when he broke in half.
Right.
But, oh well. That's a good point.
Oh, and big shout out to Sean Carter in regards to his Enterprise C build. If you haven't seen the Sci-Fi Model Guy, go check that out. He's done the Enterprise D. He's done the Enterprise C. I assume he's going backwards. I can't wait to see an Excelsior, but that's just my guess.
Sean, if you can hear me, respond in the chat. Are you still part of our Twitter streaming group? I was looking for you the other day. I was trying to message you.
Yeah. Scotty reports that the antimatter pods are inert and knows something on the planet is causing the transmission, but just that it comes from the village. So they're going to the village. And McCoy's examining the stamens and determining how strong they are in terms of their ability to either knock you out, or if you're Vulcan, or kill you if you're human.
Yeah. Same thing happens to Hendorf, and Hendorf dies. Happens to Spock, and he's like, "Oh,
a minor inconvenience. I am in pain, but McCoy gives me medicine, and I'm okay."
Well, and also it could have to do with the placement of his heart. Don't forget, his heart is. I'm tapping my rib cage.
You're correct.
Yeah. So it could be that the biological differences.
Right, and the stamen also shot into the same area on both people, so that makes sense. And McCoy filled him with enough mass to form D to make the whole crew turn handsprings. Whatever mastiform D is. I guess it's some kind of stimulant. And of course, the transporter doesn't work because everybody must remain on the planet in order for our adventure to continue.
Well, to discover what is causing the power drain, and so far it's just some sort of beam or transmission, but it hasn't been aggressive yet, but we are getting there.
Well, yeah, but right now they can't even beam up a fly, which is the first of 2 allusions to flies we get in this episode.
Seth Brundle. Now, this sort of throwaway dialogue, I kind of was like, if your blood were red instead of green, you wouldn't have an upset stomach. I don't think that's a reference to the fact that, oh, calm down, I gave you the medicine, and if you were red-blooded, you'd be fine. I think it was, if you were red-blooded, you would no longer be existing currently.
That's true, too. Spock says that, okay, so I love that Spock pushes Kirk out of the way because he's worried about his friend, obviously, and his captain. But
Kirk and it is his duty. It's also his duty.
Absolutely, but Kirk avails him of having to admit in any sort of kind of feelings.
Yes.
Which brings us to another interesting, and there are references to employment throughout this episode, and Kirk does say, "Do you know how much Starfleet has invested into you?" And Spock says, "Yes, 127,200. Forget it. Get up." And it's like, are you referring to training hours? Are you referring to credits? Is this how much you've been paid over the course of your career? What are you referring to, Spock? But we never know. We never discovered.
We never know. We just know it's 122,200.
Never mind. Yes, and then poor Jeff.
Another red
Jeff,
shirt.
is his name Jeff?
No, I'm making them up. You know I enjoy doing that. I think this is he's not Mallory. I think I have a list.
No, he's not Mallory.
It could be Lieutenant Blackburn. Either way, he gets zapped in the chest, and again, it's something inconsistent throughout the episode. That you can get struck by lightning and vaporize, leaving nothing but charred cinders in your place. Or, if you're Spock, you walk it off.
Yeah, just a slight burn on your back.
Right.
Second degree burns, yes.
So this is just, his name is Kaplan.
And as a reminder, everybody, don't stand out in a clearing during an electrical storm. Or this
That's good advice. That exactly.
And the weather started getting rough.
Hey, they are stuck on Gilligan's Island.
Well, it's the same stock footage when we had Apollo, where he got angry and he was trying to manifest the weather, but it works.
Well, and it's strange with the updated special effects, they don't show the sky as being red. So
blue,
maybe
yes.
When they upgraded it, they did change it, but it doesn't make sense with the sky backdrop being red. Everything else, like the planet in the original special effects, the sky has it's obviously stock footage of clouds and lightning and whatnot, or of clouds, and then the lightning is added in animation. But it all fits with this sort of red planet, as opposed to this disassociates, which is interesting in terms of the remaster. To me.
All right, well, it's true. I agree.
Admiral Teague says, Scotty R37, not too hungover, I hope. Oh, never. No. That's my secret. I'm always drunk. Fiona says to Sean Carter, Jill, do you get to do the lady bits?
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I accidentally muted. I was reading Fiona. We named the puppy Princess Peach, so it just feels weird after yelling princess all day. But I'm just trying it out. I may go back to royalty. As is your privilege. Because you are. We're all thinking of you, pop culture curator, says Franco Walker.
Thank you, Franco. That's very kind.
And not Brian is here. Also, LDG.
LDG, hey, LDG.
Good to see you, LDG.
Spoilers for a 50-year-old show.
LDG, thank you for coming on Jill's stream yesterday. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, extremely appreciated. Thank you so much, LDG. Absolutely. I know you're a busy guy. Eloy, yeah, from Time Machine. I would never have made that connection. Thank you. Hello to Dalek451.
Hey, Dalek.
Dalek says it like it is.
Oh, he says this episode is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculously. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Fiona says David Soul was married to Julia Nixon, the actress who plays Catherine Saki, Sinclair's fiance on Babylon 5. Hey, great reference point. Thank you.
Interesting.
Is this the same set as Way to Eden?
Oh, right. Is it? No, see, well, I don't know. Like, this is also, is this the same set as A Rose by Any Other Name or just by any other name? I think that this is just their generic alien set. What do you think?
You got to remember they redress it every week. It's the same soundstage. They just redress it every week depending on the episode. So they move you could say with anything, they move the props around.
Well, and one of the things in terms of the set dressing, you'll notice later on the Volasians, they use the clubs, but those clubs in terms of their growth, the common growth of that plant, of the trunk of the tree or the stick or whatever, is sort of similar to the way that they bow. And I have to turn on my mic or my camera to sort of show this, is that they sort of do this with their hands as praise to Vol, and it's the same shape as the club that they bonk on the head. So when they are praising Vol, but that's the shape of the club. So
and I was reading that it's similar to the Ferengi salute. Is that right?
Well, the Ferengi salute is just sort of like this.
Yeah, no kidding. That's true. That is that. Whenever they play tribute to the Nagus, the Grand Nagus, or whatever, that's fun.
The material continuum.
Thank you for that demonstration. That's nice. And hello to SP4H.
Hey, Sporf.
I blame the worm for the entire hangover.
Did you actually eat the worm? I saw you were going to, but I didn't get to see the ingestion.
Wait, what do you blame the worm for? Do you have a hangover? Are you okay?
Well, are you at work?
Yeah, that's another question.
Never ask a lady if they're hungover.
Really? I didn't know that was a rule.
It's just gentlemanly. It's Emily Post.
Oh man. Well, I need to go back to school.
All right.
Fiona says the Salem's Lot's role is much less strange to see him in. It was post SH.
Yeah. No, it's always interesting to see the actors in supporting roles before they hit their stardom.
Yeah, so that storm shows up and then it passes just as quickly after taking out Kaplan, and then Mallory finds the village and talks about it a bit, being primitive. And then he steps on a rock, and it's the same kind of rock that Spock threw. So he's got Mallory dies from the exploding rock.
So Mallory dies from the exploding rock. Hendorf gets shot in the chest with barbs from a killer plant.
Yes.
I don't care how sort of resource rich this planet is. To farm is deadly. To do anything on this, unless you have the environmental belts, I suppose, like from the animated series, that you could come back at a later date. But this planet, its perils are not worth its treasures, in my opinion, if I were to assess it as a Starfleet captain.
Well, the natives, they may know what to avoid, what's dangerous and what's not.
But scientifically, if you have a native organism, and it's never disputed that the Valerians are harmed by it. In fact, Vol protects them from this, apparently, and says, stay here, you'll be safe. I will provide food if you provide me food. Everything seems to be, this is a planet that they should be left alone. And I know that I don't think it was Mark Harkness. I forget. I might have been Mark Harkness. Said the Klingons would push back hard. I think the Klingons would run to the same sort of demise of stepping on rocks, blowing up, getting shot by plants and dying. They would probably say, no, this is not worth it. Let's let the native species, they can have it. They can have it.
Yeah, possibly. The inhabitants and Vol seem to have a sort of relationship that where the Vol is sustaining them, but we'll get to that.
But we do get sort of echoes of one of the central themes of command of the starship in terms of being responsible for the 400 lives. If I hadn't ignored the warning signs, then those men wouldn't be dead. So there is some questioning from Kirk of his own desire for exploration, and maybe he zigged when he should have zagged.
He wonders why he didn't do what he always does, which is to get out of there when the first man is killed. But I do like that when Mallory dies, he notices, he mentions him by name and who he was and who his father was.
And there is reassurance from Spock in terms of, you did everything that you were asked of. You're following orders to investigate this planet, and still Kirk is, oh, right. So this is the first encounter between Kirk and Hakuda Matata, and Kirk punches him, and he's like, "But why? You struck me. Picard never struck me. I'm not Picard." And so they reassure because he's childlike.
Right.
Yes. They're Arrested Development, definitely.
Yeah, he reminds me of all the men in San Francisco.
I live in Canada. I'm surrounded by Hakuda Matata.
You strike them and they cry. What?
Yeah.
What?
Why?
Why? Yeah, I love you.
No, they don't know love either.
Well, that's true too, right?
They're just Californians without the degeneracy.
They're allergic to pain. Akuda, we come in peace. He refers to himself in the third person. I don't like that.
No, it's creepy.
It is.
Yeah.
In reference to in reference to Salem's Lot. Fiona said.
Go ahead, read it.
That movie scared the shit out of me. For an old TV movie, it was the scariest thing I had ever seen. Only the Night Stalker came close. Really? The Night Stalker?
Nice. I agree. Yes. Fiona. Yes. It was one of the few. In fact, I don't think you can see. They don't even make scary TV movies anymore. But the 70s, they really had a few of them come out. They were fantastic. And it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah. And we see that Vol has physically modified this humanoid in order to implant antennae to him in order to communicate with just him.
Hey, Matt G.
Hey, Matt G. Hello. And we don't know anything about the dim time. We don't learn anything what happened during the dim time, but that's when he got his antennae. That is all the history we get.
He is a CUDA of Vol. Your biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. They never really do anything with the Valerians. They don't set them up as credible threats. Vol is the threat, but like the Valerians are kind of, I don't know, laughable as antagonists.
Well, they're not antagonists, really.
They're just passive.
Yeah.
You know, and Franco, check out Night Stalker. It's fantastic. There was 2 TV movies and 1 season written. It was all written by Richard Matheson, and it inspired the X-Files, among many other things.
Oh, goodness. Wes Cagle says, I have a set of blueprints of the Constitution class ships. I'll look it up. Thank you, Wes Cagle.
There you go. Thank you.
I would love to get that kind of verification. That's cool.
Fiona says 4.
Yeah.
Franco says 2.
Thank you.
Well, we're definitely in the right place. We have all the experts here.
That's what I like talking about Star Trek with you guys for. I want to find out.
It's in the technical manual, though, not the show. Well,
much like the bathrooms.
True. And Alan Trioscillator says, per scripts, it was just 1 transporter room. Later, the Franz Joseph blueprints had 4 rooms for people. There were also cargo transporter rooms in the blueprints.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And Jim just released a new video too. Go check out Jim's.
Oh yeah, definitely go check out Jim's. He's always releasing really cool Star Trek ship CG designs and puppy videos.
Yes, I love his dogs.
Make Gamma Trianguli great again.
It's true.
4? He put 4.
I was trying to construct a good metaphor for the orange people and Vol and make Gamma Trianguli 6 great again, but I couldn't. Just seems so clumsy. But yeah, no, they look like they look like Trump people, Cheeto people.
Yeah, so Vol has grabbed onto the Enterprise and is pulling them into the atmosphere very, very slowly, like a giant tractor beam. And so they're like a fly on fly paper. So that's the second fly metaphor here.
It's also very interesting, and I just noticed it now in terms of Scotty's command style. He has no science officers on the bridge.
Right. No science officers. Kyle is working as the science officer for some reason.
And Kyle is like an engineer.
Yes.
So we have no command officers. There's no yellow shirts either. It's all maybe there's one. Maybe there's one at navigation.
Yeah, a sea of red.
It's a sea of red.
You're right. In this clip, you're right.
Mm-hmm. So, there's one. We have one. We have one operations or command officer. Yeah. 2. There's 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the helm is
helm, and I would assume the guy underneath the conditional alert is from. He's probably a security officer, like a chief of security kind of thing. Before chief of security actually existed on the Enterprise.
So Vol's pulling them into the atmosphere, and so Scotty's saying that they're going to burn up. And so if you can't get the engines, these warp engines working, you're fired.
So, Hakuda, all the world knows about Vol. Don't you know about Vol?
Fiona says 90% of the time I prefer the old effects on TOS. The lack of vibrant color, even on the ships, evokes a feeling of dullness for me.
I've always I've always been sort of praising. I really appreciate the remasters, but in this one, it just sort of contradicts the sort of set dressing of it, which was confusing or disappointing.
Yeah, I would say, my opinion, I agree. Oops, sorry. I agree. The effects in the remaster look okay, but they're just too clean.
Mm-hmm.
I like the practical look of the originals, dark, scratchy, real a ship on a blue screen. I don't know what. I
real
it.
model.
It's quaint.
Yeah.
Well, and it just, again, it goes back to when people look back on the show and say, oh, these are cheap special effects. No, they weren't. No, they were not.
No, they spent a ton of money on this show.
Even
and the effects people were top Hollywood effects people, so it wasn't cheap.
How much was spent on this show?
Oh, the budget? I'm not sure.
I know they averaged around $200,000 each.
I know that there was $2,000.
$200,000 each around there.
Okay, so I need to find a source for that. I'll do that next time.
I do like.
Yeah, I need to get that book by Mark Cushman, the same guy who writes my Lost in Space book. He has one for each season of Star Trek, and he's very good and detailed. I'm sure if I had that, it would probably say the exact budget, along with all production notes of this episode.
But there we have the majesty of Vol, created by the set designers, and apparently, and I'm sure Pop knows this, and it's probably in there you go. It's probably in the book as well. But in terms of the creation of this, originally they were supposed to shoot it and blow it up. And the people in charge of building it were like, please do not blow this up. This looks great. And we took a lot of time to make it.
Yeah, exactly. They put up a fight so they wouldn't be destroyed. So the question is, then what did they do with it later? Did it show up in anything else? Was it redressed?
It's somebody's garage in Van Nuys.
Yeah, because it's pretty big. They're not going to let you just sitting around anywhere.
Yeah, get rid of the stairs and you can drive your little car in there.
Right into the mouth of Vol.
The note, so from the book, the note on Matt Jeffries' conceptual drawing of Vol reads, Reynolds wrap on 1x3 frame, all angular facets. Luckily for Jeffries, aluminum foil was cheap and available because when NBC reluctantly renewed Star Trek for a second season, executives included a provision that would allow the network to dump the series after 16 episodes if the show wasn't meeting their ratings expectations. Regardless, the producers had to plan their budgets around the 26 episodes they hoped to shoot. Every department felt the pinch, and Jeffries was forced to work with less than $10,000 per episode. Regardless of what a script might call for, creating Vol's dragon head from tinfoil worked surprisingly well, and the inadvertent crinkles created while working with the foil added texture to the reptile skin. Oh, it's aluminum foil. Cool.
That is really cool. I think it looks great.
They used aluminum foil on the Lost in Space episode we watched last night, too. And we've got a captain's log. We've been introduced to Vol, evidently the source of the planet's power emanations, and possibly the force that threatens both us and our ship. Possibly. Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to read. Fiona says, as a girl, I slept with that technical manual under my pillow, next to my unicorn.
Well, Vol is kind of a unicorn. He's got a horn. Vol is referred to as a he throughout this, and I thought it would be more appropriate to refer to it as an it. This is the second instance, so today, I would like to say, Spock has been shot in the chest with barbs. by a poisonous plant, and then he walks too close to Vol, and he is shocked by a force field. So that is 2/3 of the very bad day for Mr. Spock.
That's true. The book has something about that too. Dr. McCoy often teases Spock about his green blood, but never about his recuperative powers. In The Apple, security officer Hendorf quickly dies from a flower's poisonous darts. Yet Spock, similarly poisoned, recovers, of course, receiving an injection of Mastiform D from McCoy. May have had something to do with that. Lieutenant Kaplan is struck and disintegrated by a lightning bolt, but when Spock is struck, he suffers only second-degree burns. Spock also is thrown through the air by a powerful force field, but he suffers injury only to his pride. Perhaps because he grew up in Vulcan's high gravity, thin atmosphere, or perhaps it's because of his importance to the cast.
Yes.
But it seems, at least in Spock's case, you can't keep a good man down.
Yes. While I do enjoy the continued survival of Mr. Spock, this is definitely, wow, we can do anything to him.
Mm-hmm.
Plot armor. Oh, yes, children. You use words unknown to me. But what about love?
Oh, yeah. These people are not allowed by Vol to touch each other and hold each other or have children. And this is possible because they're essentially immortal through the power of Vol somehow. More or less. McCoy explains a bit of it. They don't age. And
no
so
bacteria.
Right. And everybody, they don't age, but they also laugh at things that are not funny.
That's true. Anyway, a house is bestowed upon the landing party, and Kirk converses with Scotty, and no success with warp drive.
Oh, I have to do something real quick.
Absolutely.
I'm deleting okay.
Oh, is there a sex bot?
Come on. No, it's just StreamYard is bitching at me about connecting to Facebook, and I don't care about it. So I'm trying to get it to go away. I'll fix that later.
Same here. Who cares about Facebook?
All right. It was just a place. If it wanted to be there, fine. But
yeah, I don't.
No big loss.
I don't post on Facebook anymore. My simultaneous video links. It's like no. Nobody does.
I only post my political opinions and conspiracy theories to Facebook, and I have 7 friends. See, this is the first explanation, if you can go back one, Jill. Discard the warp drive and get away on the main section if that's what you need to do. This is the first sort of indication that there is the possibility of a star drive versus saucer section separation possibility on the original Enterprise, which is interesting as a footnote. It's never really explored, but it does lend credence to the design of the ship itself, and I liked that little tidbit.
Right, it does establish it as canon that it is possible.
Yes.
Yeah, I had heard about this from somewhere. I didn't realize it came from this episode.
It was from this episode, and the only reason why they didn't show it was budget. That's all.
Right, the $10,000 that Mike Jeffries had himself. I know the show itself had a bigger budget, but just Jeffries had to do all this with just $10,000. Makes sense.
How many times did the TNG ship do that?
Well, they first do it in the first episode, Encounter at Farpoint.
I think like 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4.
They do it in Encounter at Farpoint. They do it in Arsenal of Freedom. They do it in Best of Both Worlds. I don't know if they do it again until Generations.
Right, the movie. Okay.
I love that movie. Stop it.
I know. We had a live stream about it.
We did.
I'm just making noises. Please excuse
Jill, I have a question.
Yes.
Gorilla texts me.
Sure.
Is it okay if I put a link to my fundraiser in the chat?
Please do.
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
I'll pin it for you.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's a good idea.
Thank you, Gorilla.
I do have that link in the description also. If anybody comes for the replay, they'll see it there instead of my link for a while.
Hey,
I'm a little slow. I have typed with one hand, but I'll get there.
Oh, let me bring
why
up
did Jor-El show up?
Jor-El?
Yeah, I saw Jor-El.
Oh, cool. Hello, Jor-El.
Hello, Jor-El.
Nice.
So they're putting all of the power into the impulse engines except for life support.
All right. There's a lack of harmful bacteria in their system. No decalcification, no degeneration, no tissue, no
anteriosclerosis.
Arteriosclerosis.
Sclerosis. My mistake.
We'll both pronounce it incorrectly.
Yes,
oh my God. Franco Walker, you're so right. Thank you so much. I completely forgot about the poll.
I've done that too. I understand completely.
See, I'm scattered too sometimes, pop culture.
That's it. I'm out of here.
I completely forgot that. I know. So unprofessional.
Forget this. You didn't even set the table.
No, I know, but I can do it right now. That's not a problem.
All right. Well, it's okay. Then I'll stay.
Okay. Yay. So, how does this computer keep everybody alive forever?
That's an excellent question.
I don't know. Yeah, it is. It's an impossible question to answer because I'm just asking impossible questions like Martha does to fill time.
But I think that it's like, okay, so we do have an idea of their complexion. They are orange people that live on a red planet. They are provided for by Vol. Perhaps there's an organization of the most nutrient-rich fruits. There doesn't seem to be any other animal life on the planet. So the instruction from Vol as to how best maintain, they don't have any sexually transmitted disease. That's to be certain because they don't touch.
Right.
I don't know.
They don't even kiss, so they don't even get herpes.
Okay. Interesting. We go that specific. Right. But I just think that it is a matter of organization. So Vol does want to be fed. He needs matter to be transferred into the energy that he provides. And so it is a symbiotic relationship of some sort.
It is sort of, definitely, because Spock makes that argument. These people, it may be it may not be the most ideal kind of situation, but they're happy and they're healthy, and I don't see a problem.
Yeah. This is the same argument I was having with the spores with Layla Kolarami.
Right. They were all happy and they were healthy.
Yep.
What was the problem?
There's no reason to evacuate. Everybody's fine. Same deal.
But the message of it is that they're stagnated. They're not growing as people, but maybe they don't want to. And Kirk actually does make that assertion that they should be given the choice. Do you guys want to grow and learn, or do you just want to exist? And that should be their choice. But of course, the danger to the ship precludes the chance to give them that choice. Edge of Time says, Doctor, these chatters are healthy and they are happy.
Yay.
Oh, good news.
Vol is hungry. We must go to him. Childlike monkeys. I'm talking about the Valerians, not the chat. Sorry.
No, but Fiona makes a good point. In the filth, they would be encouraging unprofessional interpersonal relationships. So what Chekhov is doing would have been encouraged instead of Kirk telling them to keep it in his pants.
Pavel, Martha, go get a room.
Hello to Captain Fandom Nerd.
Hello.
And fellow trucker. Hey.
Hello.
Drive by like beating the algorithm gods.
Just like Vol.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your donation to the Algo Beast. McCoy's potion turns Spock's stomach as all McCoy's potions do. Well, that's just his green blood.
Yeah. I think Spock's being a little catty in this one. You're alive, aren't you?
It's true.
So no living being. It is a computer. Vol is just a crazy, as pop culture said, Sphinx.
But even though it is open to allow the villagers to feed it, it won't allow Spock and Kirk to approach it. So they surmise it has some sort of intelligence, which they should already know because it's telling this guy what to do, the Akuda guy.
Akuda Matata.
Wonderful phrase. And so they're working on figuring out the energy of this thing. What did they do? In my view, a splendid example of reciprocity. Right. It's a give and take kind of thing. But the way McCoy sees it, it's more like they're being servants to Vol. And that oh, right. Yeah, no, there's some good arguments about agency. And McCoy says they have the right to grow, and Spock says they have the right to live the way they want to. And they haven't had any kind of growth or any kind of progress for 10,000 years. I wonder where this 10,000 years came from. How can they tell? Where did they get this number? Wortham units.
Oh my. What a horrible week.
Oh, is everything okay? What's wrong?
No, it's funny. It's just my headphones just broke.
Oh, I know. Yesterday, my microphone, I had to
No, I mean physically broke. So I'm going to have to hold one ear thing to my head because the headband is busted. So anyway, to Best Buy.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, you get to go shopping later.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry.
Because of all the money I have.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll get over it.
I got an important phone call, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay, definitely. A Wortham unit is a unit of power created by a force field or tractor beam. So I'm doing my research live on air because I didn't really make that many notes. What?
Well, it's
okay. Wortham
like
unit.
You mentioned this when we were watching it, and this morning when we messaged back and forth about it, is that this is not necessarily that complicated an episode.
No, it isn't.
Basically, like it's speed bump after speed bump that is presented to the crew.
And lots of reproductive references in this episode, so it's a.
Well, yes. So Martha,
right? So we definitely want to skip to that, but we have to worry about Scotty. He's stuck on the bridge without her again. I don't know where she keeps going off to, but
she's retraining her brain. She had her brain.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. She went back to the academy for a quick refresher course,
or she went to some psychological starbase where they did some training. Like, I understand her absence here. I'm okay with it. Take a couple days, Neota.
Yes, but now we have Martha playing you in this episode, wondering how the people on this planet have sex.
How does the sex work? Spock being uncomfortable, uncharacteristically.
Well, no, actually, it's not that uncharacteristic. Like when he's handed a baby, he's like, no, I don't want to touch this baby. And so reproductive things, he kind of does make him uncomfortable.
But in that particular scene, and I'm sure pop culture is aware of it as well, but this was a trio of gentlemen on the set ad-libbing the different ways in which the Valerians would possibly procreate. And they're just trying to make each other giggle. Actually, they're trying to make Martha giggle, Celeste Yarnell. And there were censors on set. And basically, DeForest Kelley, Leonard Nimoy, and William Shatner were all just trying to be as goofy and possibly dirty. I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions.
Well,
they were making, well, they would.
They did it all by gesture and body language.
Yes, which is kind of interesting because this is sort of an infantilization of Yeoman. I don't want to keep calling her Martha. We're not in a first name basis. Yeoman Landon's situation.
No, I think. Oh, is that her last name?
Landon? Yes, it's Ensign Landon or Yeoman Landon, and it is like she's curious about how the sociological development of these people or the anthropological development of these people would proceed if someone were to die. They need a replacement to continue the perfect balance of their society, of their culture. And Yeoman Landon is like, well, if they don't know what love is and they don't know how to make with the love, then how do they reproduce? And everyone's just sort of like, well, do we want to say it in front of the girl? And it's like, yes, she's in Starfleet.
She's in Starfleet. She knows how this works. It doesn't really make sense why this is a question, but Spock's answer is that the computer will tell them. They'll give them instructions. But the real answer is that once they're no longer forced to not touch each other, it's just going to be a natural thing that just happens.
Well, and it's weird because I can't even do an impression of the instructions because Vol never speaks. So
no, I know that's the most disappointing thing because Star Trek's all about communication and we don't ever get to see Vol speak except through his eyes and his voice.
Well, and his lightning clouds, Hakuna Matata.
And his exploding rocks. I don't know. Are those exploding rocks and those flowers manifest by Vol too?
Oh, that's a good question. I never thought of that.
Oh, I was thinking about it the entire time because it's never explained. It just feels like, is this just a planet that wants to kill you? Or is it Vol trying to kill the visitors?
Or conversely, is it Vol trying to protect his children?
Right. That too. Because we don't ever see any of the villagers having to deal with the exploding rocks.
Well, and we never see Martha again either, even though they seem to be very happily coupled.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they were just too happily coupled, and it was like, hey, you guys, one of y'all gotta decide what's happening here.
Hey, check it out. It's Hutch.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, guys.
Welcome
back. There you go. The Starsky and Hutch reference. Do we know his name, the character name?
Makora.
Makora? For real?
Yeah, for real.
Hooray.
I like how you still think I'm lying. His name is Gary.
No, I believe you now. No, Gary, I would know that that's not right.
His name
Ray Lucard. Thank you for subscribing to my channel.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you, Ray. That's so great.
That character's name is Donald P. Belisario.
He will later go on, right? Quantum.
Exactly. Make right what once went wrong. So they canoodle.
Right, because they're monkey see, monkey do.
Oh no, caught.
Did you just call them monkeys?
No, it's a phrase.
I understand. I'm not calling you a racist or anything. I'm just saying they are kind of they are monkey see, monkey do. True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a turn of phrase that means that they see something and they do it implicitly without really knowing what they're doing.
Right. Well, and I think it's funny. It makes me, and this is about the simplicity of not understanding something, a childlike understanding of the world. And I think that my first kiss was with a young lady who had seen it on Joni Loves Chachi. And the way that she convinced me, and yes, I was too young to understand what the hell was going on. And she was like, you'll be Chachi, I'll be Joni. And I was like, oh, I want to be Fonzie. And she's like, no, you'll be Chachi, I'll be Joni. And so we weren't allowed to hang out after that.
You couldn't be the character you wanted.
Right. We didn't role play the way that weird way to say it.
You can,
but
no, that is weird, but kids will do what they do.
Yeah. Well, yes. So anyway, I never saw her again. Bye, Angela.
My first kiss wasn't until high school.
Oh, this is the best part. This is where they learn the murder.
Right. They knew nothing of murder. They didn't even know about hitting before because Okuda was completely shocked at the notion that somebody smacked him.
Yes.
So because not even knowing about fighting.
Bonk.
On the head.
Bonk on the head. Yeah.
I'm curious what fruit they used for that. Like, did they inject blue into the melon?
That's what I was thinking. Blue food coloring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, like a melon. Honeydew melon. That's what I was thinking. Honeydew melon, maybe.
So we have the basics. We have the basic story structure here from Return of the Archons with Landru. So they don't create, they don't produce, they don't even think. They just do what the machine wants. But the difference between Landru and Vol is that we knew the history about Landru and how it got created and why the people follow it and the reasoning behind why such a thing is a bad thing. We don't get any of that here. It's just like, oh, machine bad, must blow up.
Yes.
But at the same time, I do like this discussion because they do talk about the Prime Directive. So it's good for that.
Yeah, I'm glad they do. It's a healthy discussion because they're debating whether they should interfere or not.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Spock's for not interfering, and Bones is for interfering. And once again, Kirk is in the middle.
He is. Yeah, he is in the middle. Exactly. Because he says they should be given the choice.
Yeah, but okay, sure.
And Kirk tries to talk to Vol, but Vol can't communicate with you unless he implants those antennae in your neck.
Well, and so Kirk tries to communicate with Vol, and then Vol says, "How about I just zap that guy, and we'll call it square."
Yeah, and he does.
And he does. This is the trifecta. Yeah, Spock's been struck by lightning. That seems fine for him.
Totally.
And apparently, they sold that shirt at an auction at a science fiction convention the same year that the show finished filming.
Oh, does it say how much?
Did not say how much.
Oh, cool. That's cool, though.
Yeah, the thing is did they understand the value of it back then? I don't know.
No, that somebody got it for cheap.
Yeah, I'm sure that, yeah, compared to what it would be worth now, yeah.
That's cool. That would be fun to learn about the person who has that. I'm gonna hunt this person down, bring them on the channel.
You're gonna hunt anyway.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not doing that.
Are you Sarah Connor? No, but this is the funny thing because I have many tattered clothes and I like them because they kind of seem punk to me. It's like if I'm wearing something ripped, it's because I'm hardcore. And so when I go and see my family and they're all like, "Scott, get rid of those old clothes," and I'm like, "No." So now I'm imagining me walking around in Leonard Nimoy's uniform or the costume from this episode, and it's like, "Scott, do you have any idea that there's a giant hole in the back of your blue Star Trek shirt?" First things first, why are you wearing Spock's uniform? It's too big. Also, there's a hole in the back. And I was like, oh, that's where Vol struck me by lightning. And then people would be like, okay, I'm going to sit with someone else.
You would too. You would wear that.
Of course I would. I would wear it to weddings.
Okay, so Scotty, tell us about this scene.
Well, this is amazing. So everyone starts coming out with their sticks that look like the way that you pray to Vol. and they're lumbering about like they have never ever swung a bat. Even Martha gets in on it and kicks that guy. And this is so cool. So Martha gets a good kick and a flip, like an over-the-shoulder flip, which is great. Kirk does a roll that knocks a guy out from under his knees. And like that, look at that. That is a palm to the nose. That guy is dead.
Even Chekhov does good. Yeah, even Chekhov lays in a few good punches. And of course, Spock does use the Vulcan nerve pinch.
Yes. And it's amazing because everyone has a phaser in this episode. Everyone is packing. No one stuns nobody. Like, even when Chekhov is trying to keep the Valerians in the hut, it's like he is just pointing and threatening to, the back of the hand. You want a fresh one? But never.
Right. They could have easily, they could have used their phasers to stun the people. So do you think that was a creative decision? Do you think that would have looked too cruel? Because remember, these people are supposed to seem like innocent natives.
That is a possibility. However, I would like to
maybe stunning them would seem cruel. I don't know.
I would also like to chalk it up possibly to production in terms of we don't have the money for phaser beams.
And that too, obviously, right? Unless it was a wide disperse, right? One blast and a wide disperse.
Possibly that, or they also wanted some action.
Yeah, and that too, right?
You just shoot them all at once and they all fall at once.
Right.
Well, don't forget, Star Trek was sold as a Western, and so like you got to have some fist fights.
A little bit of fist fights, which I sorely missed in the future episode, the future iterations.
And this slide reminds me of something cool that Spock said earlier. Something about how you always think in a human-centric way.
Yes. You are concerned, Dr. McCoy, that the Valerians would not, or the Valians would not achieve true human stature, but they have taken their first step. They have learned to kill.
Yes. And earlier in the episode, he has a similar point. He says, Doctor, do you insist on applying human standards to non-human cultures? I remind you that humans are only a tiny minority in this galaxy. And so that is a good point.
This is such a weird episode for this. I am blown away. This is so... All right, we got to go find out about this planet. Anyway, they have a complete structure. They are a society. Everything that we think about them is they should change. And they're like, what? Why?
Well, because they're not growing or doing anything. They should be doing stuff like we do.
Don't impose your values. This is what the Prime Directive is all about. This is probably the episode with the most egregious Prime Directive violation I have seen.
Well, the thing that saves it for me is that Kirk does want to give them a choice, but they end up not being able to because their ship is being pulled into the atmosphere, so they have to do something to save 400 lives on the Enterprise.
Right.
And it seems like that's going to happen because Scotty is out of, I don't know what's going on with the power distribution on the ship. He's told to put all of the available power into the impulse engines, and yet later on he has enough power for phasers.
But barely. And also, they didn't
so he
think
gets fired.
Yes, I know her, sadly.
She's getting her brain retrained.
That's true.
Because of Nomad.
That's fair enough. But I do miss her because she and Scotty play really well together.
Yes. There's no one who's really his equal on the bridge when it comes to Scotty. No one that he really trusts. Mr. Kyle is almost like a protege of some sort because he's the backup, the auxiliary transporter chief. Usually we get to see Scotty doing it. So.
That's true. It is nice to have Kyle around.
It is.
See, the cast says that Eddie Paskey is in here, but I didn't notice Eddie Paskey. I didn't see him. Is that him in the background there? Anyway, Vol rings the dinner bell and says it's time for me to get stuff in my belly.
Yeah, he needs all that lettuce or whatever they're feeding him.
Lettuce is what they're feeding him. That's what I read in the technical manual, yes. I wonder if Vol like snakes underground with his serpentine. Oh, he's kind of like Quetzalcoatl. Or what's the Kukulkan?
Kukulkan, yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it has backup power.
This is an hour-long animated episode.
It
is.
This
is an animated episode.
This would be great in animation. I would love that. That would be even more fun if they could animate this.
Like, this is the episode that when we were watching the animated series, I was just like, yeah, no, I'm fine with it. If you like the apple, you will like the animated series.
Welcome to class 3, my friends.
Oops.
That's great.
Yeah. And again, the updated special effects, not a fan of this. I think this is the first time that I've encountered the updated special effects, and I've been like, no, I like the originals better. For some reason, none of this is, it doesn't warrant the upgrade.
Yeah, they didn't need to upgrade this episode at all, I bet.
No.
I'll take a look at it in a bit.
But the tractor beam is gone. They do make an attempt to pull away, and they get a little bit of it, and this is what makes Kirk deduce that with less power, then the Enterprise can get away, and as Vol is hungry, he's not starving, he's just hungry. Oh, yes, and so Kuda Matata, he says, but Vol did everything. We don't know how to do anything. And Kirk is like, it's fine, you'll figure it out.
And you'll learn how to procreate.
And you'll like, it's called freedom, and you'll like it a lot. And you'll find love. You'll like that a lot.
So Kirk is assuming they have genitals.
Yeah, That's he is. Point. He's assuming a whole lot of things that he doesn't really know. That is a great point. There could be a reason why Vol exists in terms of...
They could be asexual, right?
Right. They might have used to be... They could have... It could be possible that they previously were able to have children, but since they can't anymore, they created... Back when they were more intelligent, maybe they created Vol to keep them alive. And now they're all gonna die.
But what if? Okay, so what if?
But that's headcanon, of course.
This is all headcanon. Right. This is all headcanon. But what if Vol says to Akuda, he's like, "Well, you've lost a member of the Volians, and now we need a replacement," which Akuda is familiar with. Maybe Akuda takes a man and a woman to Vol. They go in the serpent's mouth, and then there's like some sort of cloning or something. Maybe there's a surgical procedure that happens instead of them actually, sexing.
Right. And so if there is such an accident where somebody goes off of a cliff, Vol can do cloning? Yeah, that's possible too. But cloning causes degradation in DNA, so that wouldn't last very long.
Yeah, well, these guys don't necessarily seem like Rhodes Scholars.
I guess
they gather. They're gatherers. They're not even hunters. They're just gatherers. Even, what's his name? Makora says, I don't understand when they touch. It doesn't provide anything. There's no dance. It does not feed Vol. It does not give us food. But they dance. They dance?
They dance.
All right.
But McCoy's happy because they put them on a normal course of social evolution. And who decides what's normal anyway? An example of what can happen when a machine gets too efficient.
It's a good object lesson. Oh, yes. And now we do get this is the one. This jumped out at me because Spock says, you're familiar with Genesis. And I was like, oh, you'll be familiar with Genesis.
No kidding. And yeah, they have the reference to the title of the episode, Adam and Eve tasted the apple and as a result were driven out of paradise. And in this case, the crew of the Enterprise gave the people of Vol the apple. the knowledge of good and evil. Of course, evil being now they know how to kill. As the result of which they too have been driven out of paradise. And so they decide who is Satan here and making a reference to Spock's ears.
Well, and also to the censors who were concerned, or the advertising of the show initially, is that the pointy ears evoked the thought of Satan, and hence the famous airbrushing of Spock's ears in the early production.
Yes, and it's also possibly a reference to how he was used to be that he was supposed to be red. And they had to nix that because it looked like he was in blackface on black and white televisions. So luckily he's not red. But also, it also gets referenced in an animated series episode later where in the magic of tiramisu.
Megastew.
Tiramisu! Yes, the magics of Italian ice cream.
But the character,
maggots too, as
the analog for Satan in that episode, I forget his name too. Anyway, he says, "Oh wait, no, yeah, oh wait, maybe it's a different episode." There's an episode where somebody doesn't want Spock to get down on the planet because he looks too much like. Oh, that's Apollo. Okay. See, that would be a good animated episode.
Do not bring that one. He reminds me of Pan.
Pan, yes. But maybe there's a reference to that in the animated series too. And I I need to go find it. Actually, I can find it myself right now.
All right. Yay. Oh, it's just so, I don't know. So as who on this ship would be most like Satan? And Spock says, I don't know anyone who fits that description. And Kirk, completely fine at this point. He's happy that he's back on the ship. Everybody is happy. We're off to our new adventure, obviously with the Hulkins. But he's like, I didn't think you would. And one of the greatest, I love the fanfare that ends this episode, and it ends many episodes. Piece of the action being the most memorable that comes to my mind is the ba 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 da 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 ba ba da ba 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 off to the next adventure. It's so, I love, and Gerald Fried doing his his work, and he's doing a great job at it.
Yes.
Yeah, Gerald Fried does, definitely. And we have Keith Andes as Akuda
Matata. I'm not gonna ever that joke is whenever I hear his name, it's Akuda Matata.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. But you still haven't seen The Lion King.
No, I have not. No, that's true.
Celeste Yardnell as Yeoman Martha Landon. Good job remembering her last name.
Oh, I have notes.
And go for it then.
Oh no! That's how I found out her name. I don't have any more notes.
Oh, I was excited for a second. David Soul played Makora.
Yes. And Mal Friedman played Huggy Bear.
Ensign Mallory was played by Jay Jones. And Marple was played by Jerry Daniels. Lieutenant Kyle, John Winston. And Mal Friedman as Hendorf.
Hendorf with hair. So in a parallel universe, he was bald.
Oh. Cherie Nims as Sayana. There you go.
Oops.
Kirk Enterprise. But amazing. Like, I like this episode. Did you put the poll up?
I did finally put the poll up, thanks to Franco Walker. Anybody else who mentioned it, I'm sure there are more. I still haven't gotten to the chat. And today we do have time to get through the chat. Let's see.
Fiona says, in the chat. I guess Scotty doesn't understand that some jokes get old very quickly. Oh, my bread and butter is old jokes. But thank you. I'm sorry. I'll curb it. I apologize.
Well, there's a rule of threes, right? You can say it 3 times. After that, it gets old.
Fair enough. Then I'll stop.
And what grade do you give?
Times. Oh, I voted. I gave it a B.
What grade do you give the apple? 30% give it an A, 20% give it a B, 40% give it a C, and 10% give it a T to an F. Wow.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. In fact, if I could take it back now that I know and I'm swayed by popular opinion, I would probably give it a C.
So you want to go with your review first?
I would love to. I think that this is a fun sci-fi schlock episode that sort of touches on the action adventure. It explores some character things, but I don't understand the threat, the mission, or anything that's really going on. If I were the commanding officer of a starship who went to this planet and found out that the plants can kill you and the rocks explode, I would be like, you know what? I don't care how many bananas we can plant here. We should go and let these people be okay with themselves, because there's no reason. The only reason I can see them pursuing a situation on, what is the name of the planet? Because it's not Planet Vol, on Gamma Trianguli 6. The only reason that this is an important planet is for natural resources, but the biosphere itself protects from harvesting. If it is in Federation space, I would assign a science vessel and beam things out, or possibly mine. But even then, if you make a mine in a planet where the rocks explode, you're gonna have a bad time. I think this is a silly episode, but I really, really enjoy it because of the adventure and how much Spock gets beat up. Like, Spock really shows himself as an action hero in this. It's not Kirk. And we had talked about it previously in terms of William Shatner being somewhat disillusioned with Spock, or Leonard Nimoy's popularity as the character of Spock. Like, this is, all right, well, you know how we'll make Bill happy? We'll just beat the crap out of Spock for an episode. So it's silly. Wow. It's silly action 60s television, and it doesn't bother me too much. It doesn't build too much lore. In fact, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what are you doing, guys? Like, what is this? What is the purpose?
Exploring.
They're exploring, but they break the Prime Directive. They're invested in something that is dangerous to themselves and the population of the planet. And they just keep going full tilt boogie forward.
Well, I think the Prime Directive is a little bit different for TOS time than it is with TNG time. In TNG time, they can afford to completely disassociate themselves from non-warp civilizations because they have the matter replicator that can give them anything they need or want. But in TOS times, they still have to communicate with all civilizations because they need to be able to trade and get certain resources, because they don't have that replicator yet.
But this is farming and colonialism. This is taking a planet in the name of the Federation for the purposes of the Federation without regard for the native habitat.
Well, they have regard for them. They regard them.
Anyway, they introduce them to sexy times.
Is that your, yeah, they do. Is that your review?
My review is lesser than I clicked on the button. Yes, I give this a C-.
Okay. And I give this a B-. And, well, I have my biggest question. The only reason I love it when there's a computer involved, like with Return of the Archons, and you have to deal with whether or not these people are really controlled by this thing, and whether they actually have expressed free will to be under control of that computer. And that's the thing we never really find out in this episode, which is why which is why I can't go with an A, because why do these people become servants to the computer? We find out in Return of the Archons, not here. And actually, in a way, this is an average Star Trek episode where you could find all the things that you could want in one. It has all the elements, but at the same time, I don't know how to elevate it because we aren't really invested in the history of these aliens. I don't ever really know why Ball is so important to them, other than he's the reason they're sustained. According to Okuda, he puts the fruit on the trees. And so from that, I understand the point is the same. It is the exact same point as Return of the Archons with Lanchu. And if that's the case, destroying it will mean that the message of the episode is that the people will have to learn to sustain for themselves, which is all good when you understand the structure of the society as we do with the Archons. But in that episode, we get a full history of the people, an explanation about how Landru came to be and why it's so important that he be gotten rid of. Here, we only get vague ideas that Ball sustains them. And also, this thing can control the weather. So this brings up an interesting possibility to me. What if Ball began as a weather regulator because of some weather-based catastrophe, making it so the planet was so unstable and uninhabitable without this kind of weather intervention? And so what if, well, I guess we do find out that wasn't the case, but it could have been. They didn't know. They didn't ask it. I think this is because we don't get to know anything because Okuda is the only person who could speak to Val. And that's the biggest reason, my biggest problem, because Star Trek's all about the journey to communicate with others and understand life different from your own. And without finding that common ground, the crew won't ever understand or appreciate this species, the Valerians?
Valians.
Valian, sorry. Maybe Spock could have used his tricorder. I don't know. Couldn't they reverse engineer the antenna? Or it just would have been nice to learn more about the computer. We could have had another time for Kirk to talk to a computer rather than just figure out how to kill it.
Well, Spock does say early on in the episode that it is an indication of a highly advanced planetary defense system.
Mm-hmm. And that would explain the exploding rocks and the killer plants.
Mm-hmm. Which goes back to what you said about the is Vol responsible for the development of those particular defense systems? I'm sorry, Pop Culture. What do you give this episode?
Wait, I'm not finished.
Oh well, then
I know I have
I
kind of a long.
I didn't mean to. I'll keep going.
So we at least after they talk to. I know this one's kind of long. At least after they talk to Vol, we would be more. It is talking to whatever computer or antagonist is pretty vital to be able to come up with a plan to decide whether or not they need to destroy it, or figure out whether that it actually is vital to the livability of the planet, because that's one thing that they're never concerned with. And but one thing I do love about this episode is that they do mention that the engineering teams are meant to come to examine the computer. So all of my problems are kind of solved by that explanation. But it all happens off camera. The engineering teams are going to answer every question I have. They can answer it later after they destroyed it, because they had to destroy. I do understand why they had to destroy Ball, because it was going to destroy the Enterprise and 400 people would die, so it makes sense. But I also enjoyed the discussion of the Prime Directive, and I like that Kirk said that they should be given a choice. But if the ship were not in peril, it would have been nice to see them giving the people a choice. Do you want to continue living the way you do, or do you want to learn and grow like we do? And that way, that would be up to them rather than it being forced on them. But it had to be because you had to save the Enterprise. So that makes that kind of question easier. In the end,
still better than BAM.
Yeah, it's better than BAM. And in the end, I'm happy enough with that. I'm glad that this episode exists. So.
Oh, for sure. No, it's a fun episode. And yes, I agree. To a level of C.
So, Pop Culture, what grade do you give this episode?
I would say, looking at it from today's perspective, I give it a B. I didn't like it as much when I was a kid. I thought it was boring. But I can understand it completely on a different level now at this point. I do think that they kind of rushed the ending because if you're going to make these people suddenly independent, which they're not used to, you need to show them how to farm, raise food, feed themselves. Certain things like leave some rules, because now what's going to happen is they're introducing crime and greed and jealousy and things like that, and those people are not going to know how to deal with it. I saw somebody mention in the chat that I thought it was funny, but it's true that if Starfleet visits this planet 5 or 10 years later, they'll all be finding skeletal remains. And I agree with that, whoever that was. So don't give the credit to me, whoever that wrote that in the chat. I was thinking that does sum it up because, I mean, you think they could have at least, it could have been a throwaway line, but Kirk could have at the end said, okay, we're either going to leave people here or we're going to have a follow-up ship that's going to come and we'll teach these people how to survive on their own, how to grow and how to live, how to procreate and everything they need to know. And because in medical issues, if they have any medical issues, they need to know how to take care of it. So that would have been nice. So for that reason, the fact that they did not leave any sort of help and they just pretty much cut off their only source of nourishment and life, that's all I would say. It's a cruel it's a cruel example of breaking the Prime Directive. So I think for that reason they should have left them alone, because at least they were happy, they were sustainable, and now they're not. And like I said, Kirk just flippantly leaves them on their own now. Everybody's staring at each other, saying like, "What are we going to do now? Where do we get food from?" Like Scotty said, they're gatherers, they're not hunters. And do they know what's dangerous, what they can eat, what they can't eat? I mean, so on. So there's so many questions.
Yeah, the script does say you'll learn to care for yourself with our help.
Oh, okay. So,
but
okay,
they don't really. That they don't explain it further than that.
Okay, that helps. But I do give it a B. Thank you, Jill.
But it does look like they're just leaving them there. How long is it going to take for a convoy of people to come help them? In the meantime, like you said, some murder is going to happen, or something terrible is going to happen.
Well, especially when they realize that they're going to have to procreate, that's going to introduce jealousy and deceit. Because obviously there's going to be a lot of that, right?
Definitely. No kidding. Especially when they don't know how to control those kind of impulses.
Exactly, right. All they know is bonk bonk on the head. That's the only thing they were taught.
Mary. Yeah, because they're adults, but they're children.
They are. Exactly. They're children. They've lived their entire lives, but with everything given to them, and they've never lived on their own. And how to hunt for food, what to do if somebody breaks an arm or is injured. Because are they still going to be immortal at this point? Are they going to start aging now? And with generations of not having children, not procreating, how do we know their bodies haven't evolved past that where they can no longer procreate? I don't know.
Right, because Vol created conditions to where they didn't age, so now they are going to age, and all of that stuff is going to happen too. So all of the possible implications, I know we have some trouble with the Orville season 3, but there is one scene that's really good where they explain why they have kind of a Prime Directive too, and they explain why, because in one case they were interfering, and they have a holodeck simulation of the before and after, before interfering and after, and it turns into a wasteland.
Yes.
Well, I really like what Ari said is set up AB, follow through CD. I'm okay with that.
And that's the thing about even the episodes of Star Trek that are not perfect. We could still talk about them for hours because we can make them perfect just through the discussions that we have and the way that we would modify it.
Well, and they're not like the new Trek. They're not hateful.
That's true too.
You watch the new Trek, you want to take a shower afterwards, and it's like you don't want to talk about it. It's like a bad experience.
Mm-hmm.
And old Trek isn't like that.
No, definitely not. Ari says, excellent cleavage is the first hurdle to casting in the 60s.
Yes, it is. I agree.
And the Trusty Ape got here about an hour and 20 minutes ago.
Hello, Trusty Ape. So good to see you. Excellent stream yesterday. I believe that was yesterday. My mind, by the way, when it comes to time, everybody, my mind's starting to slip. So I'll be making mistakes when it comes to that. So it was either yesterday or the day before that Trusty Ape did an excellent live stream.
Oh, thank you, Trusty Ape. Alan Trioscillator says, hello. I just grabbed my copy of the technical manual before I saw your chat. Confirm I recall 4 transport rooms in the primary hull. Hello, Jill. Can you see me? Yes.
Can you see me? Can you see me?
I can.
There he is.
Hello,
he's the one that's jumping up and down saying, can you see me? Can you see me?
Oh. Fiona says, it would be training. In the military, salary is not considered an investment, but training expenses are. Oh, for the
they are, and you were considered.
000.
Right, we're talking about the value of Spock, and right because the military they do invest money into you, so you were considered property of them.
Mm-hmm. Lemon Pie says, "Did they beam down to this planet to look for good cleavage, geographically speaking?" No, I think they were. I think they were looking for farmland. And Spock just likes rocks.
So, okay, did I miss something, or did they not establish? I guess before they beamed down, they didn't know there was life readings on the planet.
It says that Starfleet got some weird sensor readings, and they wanted the Enterprise to go check them out. And I think, okay, so it says. Kirk says, well, the last scout ship reported some pretty strange sensor readings. Starfleet wants it investigated and the inhabitants contacted. We do what we're told.
Okay, so they knew there was inhabitants. All right.
Mm-hmm. Poor Gilligan was a red shirt too.
Yes, poor Gilligan, right.
It's true, he was.
Could you read this?
By the way, you guys, one thing I want to mention too, you guys know why they wear the same clothes in every episode, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Star Trek or Gilligan's Island or Bonanza. They do that so they can intermix stock photos and shots for different episodes and put them together seamlessly. That's why you don't see characters back then wearing different costumes.
Oh, that
TV
makes sense.
did that a lot. Yeah, TV did that a lot.
That's the same thing with cartoons.
Yep, exactly. Same thing with cartoons. So that's why that was the reason why the castaways on Gilligan's Island, Star Trek, everybody, that's why they always wear the same clothes in every episode. You can easily mix clips and parts from different episodes and put them together.
Oh, well, except for Lovey, she had a bigger wardrobe than others.
That's true when it comes to Lovey.
Ginger.
And Ginger.
Although that would be interesting. They probably didn't have that many outfits they interchanged. They probably only had a few, and it just seems like a lot because they're the only ones who change.
Well, here's a word of note. Anybody who's seen, and here's an example how budgets ran. Anybody who's seen the classic show Bewitched. Okay, back then when at the end of the episode, it would say wardrobe for Mrs. Montgomery by so-and-so of Beverly Hills, wardrobe of Mr. York by so-and-so of some men's fancy clothing place. But the extras, the cast, like for example, there's an interview with the lady who played Louise Tate, Darren's boss's wife. and the extras actually had to submit their own clothes because the budgets did not allow for that. So what they would have to do is bring their wardrobe into the studio a week or two ahead of time so they could be cleaned and pressed. So they actually wore their own clothes on those shows.
Oh, it's crazy. Wes Cagle says to Alan Trioscillator, I had to dig out the deck plans of the Constitution class and Klingon D7 that came with the FASA role-playing game. Oh, thank you for doing that. Ari says Kirk is always in search of excellent cleavage.
The final frontier.
Admiral Teague says it's gratifying to help people, no matter how aggressively ingrateful they reveal themselves to be. Whoa. It feels like you could have said that in the Lost in Space stream last night on Pop Culture's chat. That's Will with Dr. Smith. D. Oberg says to Jill, are we not giving the episode a grade today? Oh, okay, so you were the first one to tell me about the fact that I didn't put in a poll. Thank you. Could you read this one from Mark Harkness, Scotty?
Yes. Mark Harkness says Soul also starred an early forerunner of shows like CSI and Criminal Minds, starring in Unsub back in 1989, which is great. Super. Good for Hutch.
And Lemon Pie says, Pop, so glad things are looking up, at least more so than before. I know things aren't rosy.
No, but thanks to all of you, I have a roof over my head for June, which is something I did just a few days ago. I was doubting. So I can't really tell you how much I appreciate what you guys have done. You're very kind.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible.
So I'm going to spend, and now that I'm not working, obviously, I have more time where I'll be home because I no car. So I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to find out and see what kind of support I could try to get here through social services or whatever I can get. I'll see what I qualify for. I don't have children.
Speaking of which, during this live stream, an anonymous donor gave $100.
Oh my goodness! Oh
So
wow!
Thank you to Anonymous.
Yes, thank you, whoever that was. God bless you. That's incredible.
That is, and any support is greatly appreciated because Pop, you deserve it, man. I can't imagine going through what you're going through, but I do know that you're going to overcome it and you're going to succeed, and I look forward to that.
Yeah, I'll find out when I get the results back if it's terminal, I guess, because that's basically what I kept asking the doctors, and they said they didn't know yet until the results came back.
Well,
I'll know more in a week or so.
To quote the great Bill Shatner, live life like you're going to die because you're going to.
That's what I say.
True.
And enjoy everybody and friends that I have while I'm here. So all the support you guys give me really makes every day worth it. So thank you guys.
You're welcome. Gorilla's Random Thought says, can someone give me the highlights from yesterday? I don't remember what much. You were there. You were on the panel.
Yeah, kind of in and out, but you were also busy getting clothes off the clothesline and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
And Gorilla, thank you for ending the stream for me, since I apparently don't know what I was thinking last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good too. And I talked about my top 10 TAS episodes, and we had Admiral Teague on to talk about his channel, and Tony and Admiral Teague had some bits together. They were funny.
And yeah, there was a lot of wonderful, fantastic people there yesterday.
Oh yeah, and LDG was there, and Deej Odyssey was drinking Fireball.
Deej. I love Deej.
Mm-hmm. Alan Trioscillator says, I didn't know about those deck plans. I was considering blueprints published in the 70s. I can't claim to remember those perfectly. And Scotty was given some great trivia during the review.
Hooray.
So if anybody watches the replay who are just coming in now, it's worth it for Scotty's trivia. And Wes Cagle says, just saw that you gave us the number of transporter rooms before I got the plans out. Good job. Wow, I'm so behind on these. As a child, I carried... Oh, yeah, see, I read that one before. You guys aren't telling me that I've read these before.
And that's somebody who's dear to my heart. I could have married Fiona. It's like, oh my goodness, somebody who loves Star Trek as much as I do.
She definitely loves Star Trek. And thoughts... Oh, yeah. Oh, good Deep Space Nine reference. I guess that's in terms of the Ferengi. I didn't even think about that. That was good too. And Gorilla says, Fiona, I was the designated drinker. I was selling shots for $10 and $20 for the stuff I didn't like. Others quit drinking way before me.
Well, like I said, you were able to handle a lot more than I ever could have, Gorilla. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Padre says, hey, Miss Jill, do you got the pop culture link for donations available? Yes, I do.
There it is. Thank you, Padre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pinned to the chat.
Thank you for reminding me, guys. I appreciate that. Very kind.
There are 4 transporter rooms. And in regards to Scotty being in control of the ship, it's who you know. Well, no, he's just third in line on the ship in terms of command, in the command structure. It's Kirk, Spock, Scotty, and then Uhura. But instead they do Kirk, Spock, Scotty, and then whoever they want.
Sulu gets a turn at the con from time to time, but yeah, in terms of the actual factual, Sulu is 4th.
Yeah, on the show it's 4th, but in the Bible it's supposed to be her.
It would have been nice. I'm curious if they would have tried to have and show her taking control over the ship. I wonder if the network would have had a problem with it. Because they were
I know the fans
back then. Right, because we know the network did not like number 1 from the pilot.
That's true. So, they didn't.
Yeah, so it would have been interesting.
Kirk doesn't need Q to remind him that exploration comes with risks. You can turn away or go forward. Kirk will always go forward.
Right, he doesn't need Kazoo.
Oh my god. Fiona says many stars are named for geometric features such as reticuli and triangulum to reflect the constellations in which they appear when viewed from Earth. Hence the odd names. Nice. I like that. Anytime you want to inject astronomy in here, I will be happy. I thought it was paper mache. It could be both, but the book is saying aluminum foil.
Right. Your book reads paper mache, and my notes read... your book reads aluminum foil, and my book reads paper mache. So I'm thinking maybe a combination or both. I don't know.
And when do I do UFO? Every other Friday. Although I think this Friday, because it's my son's birthday this weekend, I'm not going to have a Friday show.
Save a piece of cake for me.
Okay.
I have to ask, what's his favorite cake? Mine's chocolate.
Mm-hmm. Chocolate too.
Oh, I prefer white cake. I like vanilla.
Like vanilla?
I do. I
usually get a cake with both.
Nice. A layer cake.
Yeah, so they can choose. Everybody can have their favorite. Unless they don't like chocolate or vanilla, then they're screwed.
Well, strawberry exists.
No.
Strawberry was my favorite when I was really young, before I realized what chocolate was.
The only way it'll ever be strawberry is if he asks for a strawberry cake one day. James Caserta says, I'm here, oh mighty Jill. Well, I do not demand any lettuce. Oh, yeah, I never mentioned that. How is Ball powered by lettuce?
I was thinking that. Well, but obviously, like I said, they couldn't go with the whole cannibalism thing, or where it was feeding on the humans.
Oh my
So
God.
I'm
Oh,
guessing
you're
it was
right.
just to
Yeah, that
fill
would
the
be too
plot
dark.
hole. Right. I think it was just to fill the plot hole.
Well, what about those rocks that explode?
Oh, that's
They
true.
have-
But those would run out at a certain
Oh.
point, right?
Yeah, but then that messes with my theory that Ball is making those rocks, and if he's making the rocks, then he can't be eating the rocks because that wouldn't make sense. Gorilla says, "Oh, I'll be singing 'It's Raining Men' tonight for Pop's fundraiser." Yes,
Oh,
that was the
really?
only
I will
thing
be
missing.
there. Okay, Gorilla, are you talking about the horror stream? Or are you doing a stream? Let me know.
Yeah, Gorilla? Are you going to be on Rumblings from the Lab and sing there? That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be
Or on your
Rumblings from the Lab or the horror stream because because it's Tuesday. We're going to talk about horror sci-fi, so I might just do a horror stream with open topic, open panel.
I just want to say this from James Caserta. Hi, James. I hate chocolate, Beethoven, and sex, and I have a similar thing where I say I hate music, colors, and the Olympics. So I understand where you're coming from. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just a non sequitur.
Yeah, that's totally cool.
Yes, hit the likes, everybody. Thank you, Sean.
Oh, thank you, Sean Carter.
Yes,
Definitely.
good suggestion. Thank you.
And hello in the chat to Cam.
Hey.
Hello, Cam. Hope you're doing well.
Captain Infinity is here as well.
Oh, hello to Captain Infinity. Richie Poole.
And I wanted to make a quick note.
Elvis.
A quick note, Cam. I saw your post on Twitter about how MS doesn't mean that you cannot use your muscles. It means that you have to think about moving. I never would have understood what you meant until now. I understand totally with my left hand. It's like you have to put your entire brain power into moving a finger. And it's incredibly difficult. It's like having your hand in sand or covered in lead.
Oh my God.
So I completely understand what Cam's talking about.
You should have a physical therapist.
Oh, I hope so. If it can be improved, I don't know. But I will do my best because I want to try to regain my strength. I just feel I'm blessed because it was my left hand and I'm right-handed, so I feel lucky for that.
Yeah.
But tying shoes, and I never thought they would be so difficult. That's like,
oh, yeah, you kind of do need two hands for that.
It is, yes, it is difficult. I guess I'm gonna have to get what they call the Velcro ones, like the yeah, that kind of stuff.
Or loafers.
Or those ugly, what do they call Crocs? I won't wear those.
But those are waterproof.
Oh, that's true. Next time I decide to jump in the water, I can take my Crocs with me.
Dalek451 says my mom uses Facebook all the time. No idea why. My mom too. I love the first time. I know. I love the very first time that my mom joined Facebook, and she would just give me private messages on my wall in all capital letters.
Oh, caps lock. Mom, you're shouting again.
She figured it out eventually.
I think the people who like Facebook, those are the same ones that normally in a different parallel universe, they would be talking on the phone constantly to relatives. So the people that are into socializing with family, those seem to be the ones that gravitate towards Facebook. That's the difference between that and Twitter.
Well, yeah, I was on Facebook first, and for a long time,
Same here,
do like to interact with family also.
Yeah, right. And they don't do that so much on Twitter. So, and I still have my Facebook account. I've had it for many years. But ultimately, that's why, if someone was to say, what's the difference between Facebook and Twitter? Facebook is where you converse with your family and friends, I guess.
Well, Facebook was more of a time sink because I actually cared about what these people were saying a lot more than I do. Twitter, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, Twitter is just a bunch of crazy people shouting at the same time.
And Franco Walker says the saucer section separates and Star Trek continues. Oh, cool.
Oh, do they? Nice.
Well, we're going to find out. After we review TOS, we'll have a stream where we give our top 10 TOS episodes. And then after that, I think we're going to look at Star Trek Continues.
Oh, that's at least a year ahead of us, right?
Yeah, probably.
We got a ways. Yeah, we have ways to go.
There's a lot of Star Trek left.
Thank goodness.
Fiona says, I'm not sure, but my memory serves me. The saucer section is connected to the pylon with explosive bolts that can be detonated in an emergency.
I think I heard that too, Fiona. So I think you're right.
Oh.
But unlike the Enterprise D, it can't reconnect. The saucer section can't connect to the star drive section. It would require a star base, if I understand correctly.
That's interesting. It makes sense.
Yeah. James Caserta says, they told me I had to have a face to be on Facebook. So you had to post your picture.
Oh no, you're Madonna from Dick Tracy.
Oh, and what Fiona's talking about is not a reversible procedure, so you can't separate and then put it back on like you do in TNG.
Well, again, it would require a star base to reassemble.
That makes sense. Wes Cagle says the first 3 TNG films were good. Nemesis, not so much. And you were kinder than I am, I think. Sean Carter says, I like when Dana Harvey referred to it as my face. Do you use my face? Your father is on my face all the time. And this is where I realized Franco Walker told me that I didn't have a poll. Now I do. And so far, C is winning at 35% with 26 votes. And yes, please support Pop Culture's fundraiser.
Thank you, everybody.
For medical and home issues. Are you counting Generations on that list? Says Fiona.
I agree, Fiona. Yes. In fact, Generations was the last movie I saw, the TNG movie. When I walked out, I said, that's it. That's the last time I'm ever going to see a Star Trek movie again.
I like Generations.
I know. We had a whole live stream about it.
People
I didn't like the way they handled it. I just didn't like the way they handled the TOS characters. I thought it was a shoddy send-off.
It was a shoddy send-off. It would have been better if it was Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but unfortunately, due to budgeting, the less than stellar script. For sure.
Right.
That's why Leonard Nimoy didn't show up.
Exactly, right. He told him to shove it up to her, whatever.
DeForest Kelley would have been there with bells on had his health been better. Unfortunately, it was later in his life, and he was suffering, and so it wasn't possible. Yes. But
instead, we got Chekhov as a medical officer.
Agreed. But I think that the Star Trek Generations is a movie about confronting death and loss. The whole thing is loss. And if you look at it through that perspective, I find an appreciation for it. It's not the best Star Trek movie by a garden mile, if that's a saying. But I still like it.
I just thought I didn't like the fact that they made Captain Kirk aloof and like he didn't care. I think the real Captain Kirk would want to try to get back to the Enterprise.
Right. Well, he was in the Nexus.
Remember
and he enjoyed it. And it was like I just didn't like the way it's the way how they did Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and all the other ones they do in modern, where they'll take an original character and change them to where they just don't care anymore. They're old, they're retired, they're bitter, and they just they don't. I didn't like the treatment. I just didn't like the way they wrote Kirk. He would have been wanting to get out of that Nexus. He wouldn't want to live in that fantasy.
Well, he did eventually. He did though. They did address that in the movie when.
He had to fight for Picard because Picard can't fight.
Well, no, the reason why he left the Nexus was because he was riding on his horse and he went over one of the ravines, one of the little things that usually gets his heart racing, makes him excited, and then he does it in Nexus and he gets no joy from it because he knew it was safe, because he knew the place he was in wouldn't hurt him.
None of this is real. None of it matters. Close to retirement. I hadn't planned on it. Well, let me tell you something. Don't let them promote you. Don't let them transfer you. Don't let them do anything. that will take you out of that chair, because when you do.
But I'm glad Captain Finity is here, because the biggest problem I have with that movie is that they have the ability to go back. They get to go back in time. Obviously, going back in time would create a different timeline. But aside from that, why wouldn't they go back to before when they had Soran in custody? And that way they wouldn't have to have a fight, and Kirk wouldn't have to die on the bridge, under a bridge.
Hail, Captain. Good to see you.
Yes, hail to Captain Finity.
I missed you last night, Captain Finity. I was hoping you could come by Jill's stream yesterday, and then I was hoping maybe you could stop by the Lost in Space. But I'm glad you're at least here today, so I could say hello.
I like how Bird of Prey 5 says A-, because
Kapla,
they're all A's.
Because
A's.
Yeah. And in 15 minutes, make sure if you love Bird of Prey 5's channel like I do, to head over to his Enterprise. Oh wait, no, that's tomorrow, not today. Excuse me, it's Tuesday. Why did I think it was Wednesday?
Tuesday? Is it Bed Life?
No, nothing. No, there's no Bed Life on Tuesday. Bed Life is on Monday and Friday. Gotcha. The only thing he ever does on Tuesday is a member stream. So I don't think he has a member stream today. So stay here.
And Bird, thank you for doing a shout out for me on your channel. I really appreciate it. Very kind of you.
Don't forget, Tuesdays are also the day that the photon torpedoes, the tractor beams, and the medical staff arrive.
It's always Tuesday. But Wednesday is Enterprise. Okay, so now I got it straight. I knew I was going to forget what day it is today, and I was trying to tell myself it's Tuesday. And, yeah. Anyway, Mark Harkness says, Hendorf's counterpart in the JJ verse found the Prime cast plot armor. He's actually the only non-main cast to appear in all 3 films, though he was supposed to be killed off 2 times. Those scenes were cut. Wow. They perk up when sex rears its ugly head, says And Fiona says, except for the inevitable Tribble episode, the last decent Star Trek time travel story was yesterday's Enterprise.
I like parallels.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember. Is there no more time travel in Star Trek TOS?
No.
No, we took it to Gary 7 episode, right? And all that stuff we're going to get?
Oh, we done that. Yeah, we haven't done Gary 7.
No,
so
that's the end of this season.
Okay, gotcha.
We still have business.
Mm-hmm. There's all our yesterdays still upcoming.
Oh yeah, Mr. Atos.
Oh yeah, I love that episode.
Really?
Yeah, he did the guy who played Mr. Atos years later did an interview in Starlog magazine, and he was talking about how he had vast experience in Hollywood, doing many things over the years, but everybody remembered him as Mr. Atos. Every time people see him in public, that was what he was most remembered for.
Oh, I didn't even think about what I was doing there. Sean Carter says space herpes. Not only does space herpes last forever, it does it in multiple dimensions. And if you, this is a weird plug, but if you ever go to Clobber Times channel, every once in a while, they have coined the term spurpies in order to refer to space herpes during their Saturday night Star Trek show, which I love. And so the computer eats fruit, lettuce, fruit, I don't know, lotus eaters.
That's a reference to something that I don't recall. I recognize it, though.
Didn't she and Kirk have a thing in real life? Oh, yeah, that's the thing that Scotty mentioned. He did.
Well, yeah,
Sherry?
No, Celeste. Celeste was the one.
Oh, Celeste. Mm-hmm. Celeste who? What was her name?
Martha. Martha Landon. I don't remember the name of the actress. Hey, Ola Greg is here. Hello.
Hi,
Hello, Ola Greg. Good to see you.
Oh,
Martha Landon. Oh, okay. She was played by Celeste Yarnell.
All right, Stark of Iron is here. He has been here, and then he also had to go. He's clocking in for the profitability.
Thank you, Tony. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you here today, Tony. Have a good day at work, or at least a tolerable one.
Right, and a great job, Tony, on yesterday's Jill stream.
Yes, thank you for hanging out.
You guys were very kind.
Leonard James Akar.
He could just say pulling a check off, and she would probably understand what Spock was saying vis-a-vis reproduction to Martha. And Sean Carter says, I have a few nitpicks on this one. Chekhov is just pure cringe. These half-naked people would be getting it on constantly. And why did the rock not explode when Spock snapped it in half? That's a good point. How much pressure does it take for this rock to explode? This is important information.
Right, and they didn't mention that, apparently these natives were immortal, but none of them accidentally stepped on the rocks or got hit by those projectiles from the flowers, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I'm guessing that it was the doings of Vol, but that's never stated.
Maybe Vol put maybe Vol put all that stuff around to keep them in the village so they wouldn't wander off.
Mm-hmm. Could be. Right. They can't wander off and become their own people. If they're too far away from Vol, nobody's going to beat him.
Right. And how far until you're out of range with those antennae, right?
It's true. Right, exactly. Ari says the tricorder would have split out composition of the flowers and exploding rocks before the first commercial break.
That's true when you think about it. Yeah, especially when they're examining everything as soon as they arrive. Spock should have known about the rocks before he even picked it up. But it was more of a visual inspection.
Yeah, that's why I say he likes rocks, because he was doing all of the science himself rather than using his tricorder. That is a really good point, Ari.
It is.
Mark Harkness says Vol is capable of planning and judging, but never tries to talk with Kirk and company. Spock and Kirk try to approach Vol. If you talk to Kirk, he'll negotiate. Vol just goes, mine, and tries to kill them. Oh, that's a good explanation. Thank you. So Vol himself was as much of a child as the people that he sustained.
Well, let's take a look at the Triangulus 6. And, let's understand where Vol is coming from. He was created by ancient creators. He is a computer, an AI, as pointed out in the chat. And from what he understands, the symbiotic relationship is if they feed him, he survives, or it survives. And then Vol makes sure that the Volians, if you will, survive as well, to make sure he provides for the Volians, and the Volians provide for Vol. If it weren't for these interlopers, these invaders from another world, then everything would be fine forever.
The question is, was everything fine? Was this a copacetic symbiotic relationship where both parties were aware of what they were getting, each were getting themselves into?
At the end of the episode, Hakuda says, but what are we going to do? Vol put the fruit on the trees. Vol made the rains fall. And Kirk is like, don't worry about it.
But
It'll be Vol? Fine.
Did the people make Vol back when they were able to do it?
Yeah, like maybe an ancient civilization or something, right?
The First Federation. But I'm just saying, this is one of those instances where the intervention of the Federation is actually detrimental to the world. Just leave the world alone.
Yeah, but okay. But in this case, though, we don't have enough information about how this came to be. If these people are being involuntarily
ultimately, it was to end slavery.
Yeah, are they slaves, or did they want this?
Okay. They are.
That
slaves.
is the biggest question.
No argument.
Well, if they don't know better or they don't know anything else, yes, then they're happy. But that doesn't mean they're not slaves. Because even the slaves were given just the bare minimum to live, right? That's the whole point. I mean, any of us that lives in America knows that, right?
Yeah, these are kind of better treated slaves. You want to say that?
No lash.
Oh, you're right, exactly. Mark Harkness says that, yeah, we read that. The rock required sufficient force to explode. Yes, that's
so
the
maybe
question.
That's
how
why.
Much?
So I think what he's saying, that's why it didn't explode when Spock broke it in half. But why it exploded? It did explode when it hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it needed that impact.
That makes sense. I'm eating a lotus plant right now, says James Custard. A 12-year-old girl taught me how to French kiss when I was 11.
Nice.
La la. Oh.
En français. I don't remember the first time I tongue punched.
Sean Carter says, if there was ever a chat post that warranted quadruple checking what number you typed, that was the one to Frank Walker.
Right.
Yes, exactly. That is so true. Yeah. And then he types it again. Yeah, she was 12 and I was 11.
Very Sounds important. Like she already had a lot of experience.
Yeah, instead of prime directive, they say non-interference directive. And oh, hello, I think Gary Ambrosia came by. Hello to Gary Ambrosia.
Hello, Gary Ambrosia, and thank you for helping with my campaign with a very generous donation, Gary. I really appreciate it. I love you, man, for that.
Yes, thank you, Gary.
I'm going to be sending out thank yous personally to everybody. I'm going to return my rental car today, and then I'm going to work on that tonight. So I have not forgotten everyone, and I do appreciate each and every one.
Me too. And Wes Cagle says no need to use excess force on people who have no idea how to fight. And yes, that's why that's my favorite scene with Martha, because she gets to beat up the people who don't know how to fight.
And I think maybe that's a reference to why they didn't use stun on their phasers.
Mm-hmm. And Pop Culture Character, could you read this from Mark Harkness?
Mark Harkness in the chat says, I wish to postulate something. Is it logical to think that Vol was created by someone other than the people of Vol? If so, then it is not a balanced order, but one imposed by an external force.
Yes, that is a good point.
Right, it was obviously not by the villagers because they didn't have the knowledge or the technical expertise.
Or it could be a thing where they used to have the expertise, but they've lived so many years with it that now they don't.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. Like going back to the Eloi and what was the name of the other people? Morlocks.
The Morlocks.
Yeah. Like what if it was the children of Vol who actually made Vol to enhance the future of the species, and that brought them to a place of stagnancy, and thusly they're more than happy. This was the intended end of the people of Beta Triangulus. That was what they wanted. They were like, we just want to take care of our future generations. We want to be immortal. We want to have just one singular purpose, which is feeding Vol. And Vol will take care of everything that our people will ever need. And so, yeah, no, a complete utopic society, restrained, of course. But then Jim shows up, And he's like, this is no kind of way to live. And they were like, this is how we designed our entire world. So why are you breaking this? So yes, I think that the Federation is overstepping its bounds. It is going against the Prime Directive. This could actually be the natural evolution and the desired end result.
Yeah, but we don't even know for sure. It is definitely possible.
Well, no, but I think this is Federation intervention to a level that is somewhat without more information.
Yeah, if the history aligns with what you're saying, then you are 100% correct. If it doesn't, then I could be correct. It doesn't. We have no idea. Tony says ahoy. Frankel Walker, those poor sods were happy with their lives. It was a society that worked, and that's what Scotty is saying. And also,
that's what Spock said. Yeah,
yeah, it does work, but we don't. I would like to know more. The theme of this episode is far less ambiguous than typical. It could be argued that this isn't a real civilization. They are stagnant, so nothing to interfere with, says Fiona. And that sounds like Captain Kirk, or it sounds like McCoy, actually.
Both, yeah.
And Marie says, no. The Prime Directive only applies to progressing cultures. Service to a machine exempts this culture from the Prime Directive, although our culture is stemming headlong into that. No kidding, Marie. You're not wrong. I use my computer for a lot of things. It's an extension of my own brain in some ways. Valsher called for food quite often. Are we sure they weren't giving him Chinese food? And Alan Trioscillator says the Franz Joseph blueprints have emergency transporter rooms of 22 units each. There were 3 of them. There were 3 of them on Deck 8 and 2 on Deck 22. There is a cargo transporter on Deck 10 and 1 on Deck 23.
Thank you.
Wow, that's incredible. The Franz Joseph blueprints have 3 transporter. It has 5 transporters. Wow, that is cool. James Caserta says no animals on the planet. They were highly evolved in the wrong way.
I guess vegetarians.
Yeah, they'll either starve to death or kill each other through jealousy, which is what pop culture was saying earlier too.
Yes.
Chekhov is so handsy in this episode, says Fiona.
Yes,
he is more concerned.
Now you know why Scotty wanted to get down on the planet so bad.
Oh no! Do you think that Scotty had a thing for Martha?
Well, Scotty. Well, it's like I was listening to you guys when you did Wolf in the Fold, and how it always turns out bad when Scotty tries to score. So maybe somebody told him that the planet was really, a lot happening down there.
Yeah. Yeah, Chekhov's more interested in Martha than the mission.
And Pan always bored me, said Apollo.
Thank you, Richie Poole. That was a reference I was thinking of. I don't know why I went to the animated series. Richie Poole says, Fiona, you would think the God of Reason would be annoyed by Pan rather than bored. And right. I guess Scotty doesn't understand that some jokes get old very quickly. Oh, we read that.
I do understand that.
And I agree with Pan. I'd probably get tired of that flute eventually.
Gorilla was in the poll. And Frankel Walker gave it an A-, and really? Richie Poole gave it an A.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, nice.
Liking things is fun.
It is, and it is true that this is fun to talk about, so I could get why someone would give it an A. Yeah, the good thing about TOS is that even the flawed episodes get us talking.
True.
Definitely.
Sometimes even more. No episode is really worse than a B or a C plus, says Fiona.
Oh, I don't know. The alternative factor.
Yeah, that would be an exception.
The way to eat.
I haven't seen it recently. I'm looking forward.
I really
to watching
don't
it.
like the empath.
Oh, the empath is actually really. It's kind of horrific. So, I can't wait to get there.
They were there to explore, not take over the planet, says Richie Poole. Yeah, right. They're not colonialists. Jeez.
But they did do that.
Did do what? What did they do?
Colonialize that planet.
Well, how?
By destroying their mass production.
They had
their
to
providers.
Because the provider was pulling the starship into the atmosphere of the planet. It was going to destroy 400 people. So in order to not disturb the civilization, they should have allowed 400 people to die.
That has nothing to do with Vol or the Volians.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. It has everything to do with the interceding of the starship that shows up and says, we want this planet for natural resources. Vol says you can't have it. They blow up Vol, and then they say, we're going to take this anyway. By the way, you're going to have to be your own agriculturalists, and you're going to have to learn how to procreate. And they were like, we didn't have any of these problems before you arrived. The Federation shows up at this planet, and when they leave, or when they try to bolster the civilization, the society, they've made the planet worse.
Well, they don't come with the intention of changing the civilization. They do come for resources, but it's not because they want to colonialize. It's because they don't have replicators. They need resources one way or another.
The original series doesn't have replicators either.
That's what I'm saying.
So they just messed everything up. Like the Federation messed everything up on this planet.
Yeah, they did, because they need stuff. And they didn't.
Well, that sounds like colonialism to me.
Oh, okay. If that's what colonialism is to you, then
showing up to a place to get their resources and then leaving and saying, thank heavens we destroyed this culture.
I'm sure they wanted to make contact with the species in order to make sure that it was okay to have some resources. Like, they weren't just going to come and take them. They weren't just like, hey, this is mine, I'm going to take it. They were going to talk to the people and see what's what and see if they can come up with some kind of trade agreements. That's how the Federation operates.
These
in terms
people
of
are not capable of
but they didn't know that yet. They just got to this planet. They had no clue.
So they mold the society, the culture, the aliens on this planet to fit the needs of the Federation.
They didn't know that wasn't their intention. They were going to see if it was possible to get the resources from them amicably and have a trade agreement. But they didn't know that these creatures, this civilization would.
These people don't know how to make a stereo.
Yeah, but they didn't know that at that point. And by the time they get there, they're stuck on the planet, and then the ship is gonna be destroyed, and so they have to save the ship.
I'm with Gorilla.
Okay. Richie Poole says, I love this episode, but Kirk should have been court-martialed for violating the Prime Directive. And so
I'm with Richie.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate all opinions. This episode is a terrific allegory for the universal personal basic crowd. All right, we get it. Just say the episode was lazily written. No, I can't do that. That's too general. I do realize when I wrote that review, it kind of seems like I gave the episode an F the way I talk about it, but I don't give it an F. It's not an F. It doesn't offend me. It's not that bad of an episode.
It's an action show without science fiction. It is just a monster of the week with aliens that are subservient.
Yeah, maybe it's more science fantasy. It is science because you do have a computer controlling these people.
I still like it. I know I'm poo-pooing, but I do enjoy it.
Oh yeah, me too. No, it's a good argument.
Well, yes.
I think you're reading a lot into that too, Ari, but that is your prerogative. Yeah, there was hardly a consideration back then, especially for this crowd. But yeah, I did have a lot of fun talking about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's a fun time.
Yeah, Mark Harkness, I disagree. Ball interfered first. Ball is the one that forced the outcome.
But
that's
that depends
a grand
on where
popular.
That depends on where Vol came from.
Exactly, which is why it should be in the episode. The Enterprise and her crew should have been destroyed in strict adherence with the Prime Directive. Kirk swore an oath to defend the Prime Directive. He violated that oath. Thank you for that remark, Richie Poole.
Well,
and
Richie,
Scotty's on your side. I don't know if
he
he wants the Enterprise destroyed, though.
As soon as Horndorf, or the guy, got hit with the alien plant barbs, they should have beamed up and said, you know what? We probably need to probe this planet a little bit more before we start going to.
And that, I'll agree with you there. As soon as
around.
your first man dies, you take a step back and reevaluate.
Well, they didn't spend a lot of time. I mean, it was shortly afterwards. I mean, it was just a matter of minutes where they were immediately asking to beam up. Right? Was when they lost the second person.
It was after. Well, it was after Spock got hit with the thorns.
Right. So as far as they know, as soon as they beamed down, at that point they were unable to beam back up. They just didn't know until they requested help.
So it could be that even after the red shirt died, they still couldn't beam up.
They still couldn't have. Even if they would have, as soon as they beamed down, if they would have said, "Oh no, let's beam back up," they probably couldn't have.
Mm-hmm. And so Kirk doesn't have any reason to be upset with himself because it wouldn't have mattered.
Yes, it would not have mattered.
And Fiona says this episode was relatively heavy-handed for a Star Trek episode. Its themes were comparatively unambiguous in its condemnation of primitive societies. As for the other themes, Return of the Archons was better. Yes, way better. I love Return of the Archons. And James Caserta calls it a filler episode. And Ari says it's a given that the Federation always sends technical advisors in situations like this. And Kirk does say, we will help. So that, and it's something that if you can easily miss that line because they don't spend more than a quarter of a sentence saying we're going to help. And Fiona says the other thing to consider is that the writer of this episode was a German Jew who survived Nazi Germany by fleeing to Vienna, Netherlands, and then the U.S. If anything, it's an allegory against Hitler.
Vol is Hitler?
And the villagers were Jews?
Wow, I'd never considered that. Or Stalin's communism, says James Caserta.
Make Vol great again.
Rest in peace, Calculon, says Dalek. The author had no experience with that. If Vol had said, hey, leave us alone and you can go, would you court-martial Kirk then? Yeah, Vol never offered that kind of thing. He just like, no, you must die. Wes Cagle says, the problem with comparing to Hitler or Stalin is that Vol is a benevolent dictator, at least towards his children. Hitler and Stalin, not so much. Yeah, that was what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Hitler was starving people. Dalek 451 says, you call that good, Joe? That was as blunt and ham-fisted as you can get. It sucked. Yeah, and thank you for that assessment of the episode, Dalek. I do like to hear what you have to say. And it's fair. I am simply relating the direct experiences of the author to an episode he wrote a decade later. Yeah.
Decade later for what show?
For I guess he for this show, for Star Trek. The author 10 years after being in Germany.
Oh, I see. Oh, duh. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah, Fiona says it's not really comparable. Vague brushes with communism with someone who spent 5 terror-filled years in direct flight from the Nazis. He had to relocate 3 times during Germany's expansion.
Not
Strange. Good. There are chats on stream that I can't see in the chat. Oh yeah, are you on live chat? That's important. And hail to the chat, says Gary Ambrosia. Sorry I can't respond at lunch right now. Just chiming in to say hello and support this great panel. See you all soon.
Good to see you.
And so Gary was here. Great to see him. And or the Greg, I think you mentioned him earlier. James Caserta says, Jill has me blocked. I am not blocking James Caserta.
I don't know why you would see some people, not others.
I don't know. Snow Messiah cannot see Teague or Gary, but YouTube has been kind of weird.
Would be YouTube, I guess, not StreamYard. Yeah, or YouTube, okay.
No, the Picard never hit me quote. Yeah, no, that was a good one. It's been a while since they posted anything. These chats are from ages ago. I just read an announcement of a gender-swapped Starsky and Hutch show now in development for what it's worth, says Fiona.
Oh, they're doing a race-swapped Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Lemon Pie.
Lemon.
Hey, Lemon. So good to see you.
James Caserta says, no, Fiona is married, says Franco Walker. And Snail Messiah says to Franco Walker, I just see others writing them, so I assumed they were live in the chat. I was there, but hammered to a point I don't remember anything, says Gorilla.
That's okay. We remember everything, Gorilla.
I do not. I do not remember everything.
You know what's great about that? All those times, I know it's only happened for me a few times when I was young, where you would get so drunk you would black out and you don't remember the next day what happened the night before. But now with the power and the magic of the internet, now you can go back and watch the stream and see how you looked.
Oh, I'm too embarrassed to do that.
Yeah, you could. There are several streams in which you can do that.
Yes.
Sorry. That was nice.
Oh no, there's a whole pile of stuff that I have no recollection of that you guys can check out.
Mm-hmm. And I have too, because if I don't catch it live, I go back and I listen to it, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And then you send me notes, and you're like, Scott, do you want to redact any of this? And I'm like, I don't. It's already redacted.
Have you ever seen Memento?
What? I'm chasing this guy. No, wait. He's chasing me.
So Captain
it's a great movie.
Yeah, it is. So Captain Finity says, so the Star Trek Bible is wrong. Got it. No, it's not wrong. This is how Gene Roddenberry wanted the show. It's a guide. It's a writer's guide that writers are supposed to read in order to write episodes. This is how Gene Roddenberry wanted the show to be, and the fact that it deviated from that was just the effect of having a bunch of different writers either not read the Bible closely enough or just get, shorthand notes from other people on how to do it instead of reading it themselves, or they just ignore certain parts, and so they have this. It's just the way Star Trek is supposed to be. Like a perfect Star Trek episode would follow the Bible perfectly.
So it's a suggestion, but not mandatory.
Yeah, but Gene is there, and Dorothy Fontana and Gene L. Kuhn are there to ensure it's close enough, I guess.
Yes, with the final touches.
Mm-hmm. And oh yeah, you read this one earlier, Scotty. So thank you for taking care of that one. James Caserta hates chocolate, Beethoven, and sex. Richie Poole says they feed the exploding rocks to Vol at feeding time. Yeah, that would make sense if the rocks do not come from Vol itself.
Yes.
Wes Cagle says
the lettuce and see what happens.
Right. When food is burned, it releases energy. That is how they know the amount of calories are in certain food. Yeah, but that much energy enough to cause lightning storms and yank the Enterprise out of orbit into the atmosphere of the planet? That's quite a lot of energy from some food.
Lettuce.
Yeah. Even if it wasn't lettuce, I'm really not sure what they were feeding it. Direct matter to energy conversion, as shown in the Doomsday Machine, would get significant energy out of lettuce, which is mostly water. Oh, thank you. Okay, maybe water. Vol didn't create the exploding rocks. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure of that. The episode doesn't say one way or the other. And Cam says, "Hi, Scotty, Jill, and Pop. Sorry to hear about your health issues. Wish you the best."
Thank you, Cam. Good to see you.
And Captain Finity says, "Not much of a point of a Star Trek Bible if the information in it is unreliable." No, it is. It's the Bible because this is what it should be. And deviating from it, the more you deviate from the Bible, the more you deviate from what Star Trek should be.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, exactly. So even some of the best Star Trek episodes are slightly blasphemous now and then, but we don't mind it when it's a really great episode.
Yeah, but this is not one of them.
God.
Fair enough. Lick that like button like it's the plate you ate ice cream from.
Plate? Who eats ice cream on a plate? I do have to actually take my leave if it's not too much trouble.
No, I'm going way past my time. I've gone 20 minutes past. And so you're used to being able to leave 30 minutes ago. So you are free to go.
All right.
But first, before you go, please tell us about yourself and what you're doing around the interwebs.
Well, I'm a casual drinker who sometimes blacks out about my opinions, and for that, I hold no apologies. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man tonight and tomorrow on the Phantasmagorium show, and after that, we're going to be talking about the Indiana Jones movie. I also consider the new Indiana Jones movie, The Dial of Destiny, to be something akin to the Apple. You know what? It's not going to be the best Indiana Jones movie, but it will certainly be an Indiana Jones movie. So I'm looking forward to the entertainment. And after I see it, I will make my decision. I also would like to say thank you so much to Jill for having me on. This is so faboo. I love having conversations with you. Everyone in the chat, you guys are the best. And Pop Culture Curator, I wish you nothing but the best. And I look forward to streaming with you and watching your shows forever.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I'm abrasive sometimes, but no, that's it. I'm abrasive sometimes. I'll see you guys in the future.
You're great, Scotty. Thank you so much for being here.
Take care.
See you later.
And don't forget to click the link to support Pop Culture for his ongoing.
It is pinned in the chat.
Thank you.
I'll see you kids in the future, and thanks again.
Bye, Scotty.
Bye.
Have fun with your Spider-Man.
I will. I'm going to dress in a onesie.
Oh, yeah, because the first time you reviewed it, that's what you did. Okay, anyway. He's gone. And let me go back up. I scrolled down to get the link. Thank you, Darius Munchausen, for pressing the link. And Pop Culture Curator, if you need to take care of your dogs, you need to go.
You can hear them, can't you?
Yeah, go take them out. I'm fine.
Crazy pooches.
I have the chat here, and you can come back if you want. But it sounds like they need you.
I don't know. It's like they heard Scotty saying goodbye, so they thought I was leaving. I had headphones on. So I don't...
Oh, I know, but this is about the time.
What are you guys looking at me for?
Ari says Kirk is always in search of
go potty.
Oh yeah, okay. So I read that.
Right back.
Yeah. No, please go. I have the chat here, and okay, so we were there. Let me just see where I was. I just need to find my star, and I'm good. And heavy-handed. That's where we were. Gorilla was hammered. That was fun. I loved I love that live stream. Thank you guys so much for showing up to that. And okay, there it is. Like it is the plate you ate ice cream from. That sort of broke my brain too, because I usually use a bowl. And Franco Walker says you better stay away from the chocolate fondue orchestra orgy then. James Caserta says Franco Walker. And Captain Finity says hello to Cam Cam. Everybody's saying hello to Cam Cam because Cam Cam is amazing. And Wes Cagle says MS is an insidious disorder. And yeah, no, that is definitely. And Cam Cam says hello. Yeah, everybody's saying hello. And Lemon Pie says Scotty only likes chocolate, sex, and Beethoven when all three are experienced simultaneously. He's not here, but that sounds fair. I can't speak for him, so we'll have to ask him later. Ariba Bell says there's a company running ads everywhere for slip-ons that don't require hands. Slip-ons that don't require hands. Oh, shoes. Shoes for Pop Culture Curator. So there's a company. Okay, cool. I'll start that one to look at it later. For when he returns. And Spock Elvis says, "Hey to Captain Finity, your internet is working. Well, it's working enough to be in the chat. Whether it's working enough to be on the panel or to be on his live stream, we do not know for sure. We never know how good the New Zealand internet works for Captain Finity. It depends on which studio he is at. He has studios A, B, and C. And I don't know, like, what do you call the studio when you're at the lake? So, Captain Finity, if you're still in the chat, what do you call your lake studio?" Wes Cagle says to Ariba Bell, "I saw those sneakers. I want them, but I'm not paying the insane amount they want for them. Oh, they're expensive. The slip-on ones with just one hand. Interesting." And Captain Finity says, "My internet is always working perfectly. Rural New Zealand, not so much." But it is true that the reliability of that rural New Zealand internet is always varying depending on where you are. End Tiger's sci-fi review says Akuda is old enough to remember sex. He is, but he hasn't. They've been banned to do it from Vol. He's very restrictive. The rocks are Val's poop. And Dave G Sound says it pleases me greatly that there is so much content to cover. I know, right? Gorillas, yeah. So like even when I finish with Star Trek the original series, I want to do some other series too, like what is it called? It's the Apple series by Ronald D. Moore. For All Mankind is what I meant. Yes, For All Mankind is what I want to do after TOS. So that's my plan. Well, Franco Walker is asking a question to Captain Finity. Also, will you be streaming after this? And Captain Finity says, "Now I know Star Trek Bible is worthless. I have a new topic to discuss." Well, that's great that you want to discuss the Bible. I would love to talk about that. As I have responded to the things you asked about it. The Bible is extremely important in terms of giving a guide so that the writers know the parameters with which Star Trek is supposed to operate under. And when you start deviating from that, you deviate from being, making any kind of Star Trek at all. And Captain Finity says, no, streaming. Too busy working on my own IP. Yes, and good luck writing your Captain Finity comic book. I know you have all the illustrations done, so now it's all about coloring and writing. And Spock Elvis says to Captain Infinity, okay. I was wondering why your show cut out for an hour. I was wondering if it might have been that you were trying to know what to say. Happens to us all, Captain Infinity. Well, sometimes Captain Infinity likes to have chair streams where he's busy with something else, but if anybody wants to come on and talk to him, he's there. And Richie Poole says, I like Generations and First Contact. Things started to go south after that. And I liked First Contact a lot. I think I need to do a live stream about it at some point. It would be really fun to talk to Scotty about it because he doesn't like the entire movie. He only likes the stuff with with the Phoenix, and I understand that. And Captain Infinity says, on my show, I read all the chats in a timely manner. Yeah, on my show, I have a thing that I want to, I have something to present. I have my review, and I have the reviews of the people on the panel that I want to explore and have a discussion with. And I do also want to incorporate the chat into that discussion too. And sometimes I get to the chat when I can, and that is my show. And I hope you guys like it. Fiona says, is there a way to donate money where someone isn't going to take 30%? Does Pop have a PayPal or Venmo or something? And let me start that one too, since it's for pop culture. We'll go back to that. Indie Tiger's Sci-Fi Review says, Akuda remembers sex. He'd be told to provide instructions by Val or just be told to have sex with one of the women. No, that's not true, though. Val completely does not do that. He doesn't even want these people to touch each other. So in the episode, these people are immortal, essentially. McCoy doesn't know whether they've lived for 20 years or 20,000 years. And we don't know what they do exactly when they need a replacement. Oh, okay, that's what you're saying, is that when they do need a replacement, that he gets an instruction from Vol, which is possible, but we never see that. And all we're told is that they're not allowed to touch each other. So, interesting. Yeah, no, this episode brings up so many questions because so many things are not explained. And of course, in the 60s, you couldn't talk that deeply about the sex, so they had to just wink about it. And that also makes sense. You do have a good point, Tiger Sci-Fi Review. Wes Cagle says Kirk's death was perfect. He sacrificed his life to save the entire system. It's much better that way. That the way they killed off Solo in Star Wars universe. His death was pointless. Okay, so Indie's Tiger Reviews, the only thing that tells me that they haven't had any sex is that they still don't know what children are. So if they would have had to replace somebody and Akuda had to learn this technique, then they would at least know what a kid is because they would have at least seen one because they had to make one, but they didn't. Ball can teach killing and sex. Yes, he can. And he did teach them to kill. And Richie Poole says, I think Generations Kirk was more of a reflection of Shatner's feelings about Trek and the character. And Captain Infinity says he's going to do a live stream boasting about how he reads the chat. Oh, right. Well, I mean, because reading the chat is pretty fun. Definitely. Fiona says at the very beginning of that movie, Picard's family burned to death. Yeah, and they just burned to death just so that Picard can cry. Okay, I'm sorry. Fiona continues, all I had to do was go back in time and save them and then have Soren arrested. Dumb. Exactly, Fiona. No kidding. And the only reason they kill off Robert and the only reason they kill off his family is just so that Picard can cry in the movie. There's really no reason. It's done off camera. We don't even, not that I want to see people burn to death or anything, but it's just tacked on. And Scotty says that's part of the movie trying to tell us that to accept death and everything. But I don't know. It doesn't seem necessary. Kirk died in Generations not because it was necessary, but because Picard picked a dumb exit point to return to. Take Kirk and go to 10 Ford at the same time. At the time Picard first meets Sauron. Exactly. That was exactly my point too. That's the problem. That's the whole problem with the movie, and it's such a glaring issue that's why we go back to it every time we talk about that movie, because that's exactly what's going wrong with it. And Snail Messiah says, lemon mouse and a chocolate mousse are in the fridge right now. Just chilling, getting ready to be eaten. A chocolate mousse.
Here we go.
Is in Snail Messiah's. Oh, hey, welcome back, Pop Culture Curator.
Thank you. Chocolate mousse. Ooh, that sounds delicious. Chocolate Bullwinkle.
Mm-hmm. So earlier in the chat, Ariba Bell said there's a company running ads everywhere for slip-ons that don't require hands. And
thank you.
And Bus Kago says they're kind of pricey though, so they're worth looking into though for your purposes. And Fiona says, "Is there any way to donate money where someone isn't going to take 30%? Does Pop have a PayPal or Venmo or something?"
I don't know if this website I'm using takes that much, but then if you ask, well, how much do they take? I don't know about that either. I just was told that's the one I could trust. I do have PayPal. Mm-hmm. They take a percentage. I don't. Well, Venmo. I did have a friend that had me sign up for Venmo. I have that on my phone. If I remember right, I think Venmo uses phone numbers.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't remember myself.
I think PayPal is linked with email, and I think Venmo is linked with phone numbers. Mm-hmm. Who was it that asked that? Was it Fiona?
That was Fiona, yes.
Let me put. I'm going to put in the chat my Fiona. I don't know if you have Twitter, but I'm going to put in my Twitter handle.
Yeah, put in your Twitter handle, and you can get a contact. Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea.
And this goes for everybody. If you would rather donate directly, I appreciate it, because I agree. And I'm going to do my homework tonight. I'll look it up to see how much that website keeps.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And, oops, what is going on here? Now my phone's
Did I make a sex joke? I might have. I don't even know. I mean, this episode has a lot of sex in it, so I kind of have to talk about it. It's like not even a thing you can actually ignore, which is interesting for a 60s television show.
That's true.
Richie Poole says, in Generations Prime timeline, the ship is destroyed and the crew dies.
Bird says the donation website I'm using, Give, Send, Go, doesn't take anything. They just ask for donations if you want to donate to keep them going. Mm-hmm. So that's nice.
That is nice of them. And Captain Infinity says, thank you to Spock. Elvis, my listener, is split between lovers and haters, no middle ground. Both extremes are always
Thank you, Gorilla.
And so, yeah, not everybody has the same channel. This is an amazing breaking news. Some people do channels differently from other people. Shocking.
Thank you, Bird, for the that knowledge.
What did Bird type? Oh, he says Give, Send, Go doesn't take a cut unless you choose to give it some. It lets you choose how much to give. You can give it 0 if you want.
Oh. Which is better than PayPal. Because PayPal and Venmo probably take some too, don't they? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know the different cuts that you get from the different donation services. Usually they want something.
Yeah, usually everybody wants something, right? For their very little trouble, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they having the website up and the servers and everything.
And then just sit back and rake in the money.
Exactly. And Tony left a while back.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
Hello, Oil Great. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Fiona says Celeste Yarnell was a supermodel before they coined the term. She had an amazing, varied career.
Oh, that's fantastic. She was very beautiful.
And Captain Finity says Lotus Eaters basically spent their time chilling and getting doped up, ignoring the world's problems.
Well, that's who we need to run the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of who we currently have.
Wes Keiko says I should have remembered the rocks.
Darn those rocks.
Val provides for them only because if he doesn't, he dies. I love the varied perspectives on this episode.
It is true. Val relies on them for food.
Val was their god. Are you a slave to your god, or do you live in harmony with him? Whoa, it's a deep cut there, Richie Bull. But who made Val God? That's all we want to know. Like in Logan's Runs, the creator of Overlord has no idea how it works. If Scotty was running for office, I would not vote for him. Just saying. He has a pretty messed up idea about what living is.
Yeah, when you think about it too, Logan's running straight up like a Star Trek episode. Almost beat for beat.
Says Fiona. And he asks about the Bible again. Yeah, I did. When he first mentioned the Bible, I did talk about it. I hope you heard it, but I don't know if you did or not. Let me know if you want another explanation, and I will give it. Captain Finity says Scotty, would never read letters from his constituents. Okay.
Constituents?
No, I don't know. I'm sorry. There's some funnies. Captain Finny's funny today.
There we go.
Darius Munchausen says, just like the Europeans, Scotty, they drop into somebody else's home and mess everything up. Did the Enterprise give them blankets full of smallpox too? Well, that is a good point too, Darius. Cardinal Sin says, hey. And there's a reason for the Prime Directive, says Darius. Also, Cam says, I gotta do some more chores. I hate laundry. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy.
Take care, Cam.
Yeah, have
take
a good
it
day,
easy.
Cam.
That's one thing Star Trek and a lot of shows like Star Trek tend to overlook is what kind of diseases the crew members could be bringing to the planet or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, technically speaking, Scotty is correct that the Prime Directive has priority over the lives of the Federation crew. They are sworn to uphold it even with their lives. But does it apply here? That is a good question. I hope we addressed it. And hello to Darius. Jill is describing international trade instead of colonization. Yes, that's exactly right. That's what I was trying to differentiate the two. Mark Harkness says, when Hawkins said no, the Federation didn't like it, but they accepted it. Same would have happened here if there was any discussion. Agreed. And Cardinalson says, thanks, guys, for being on Pop Culture Guardians last night. Had a really good time.
Canadian Spider-Man also had a really good stream last night.
Mm-hmm. I'm on team Jill, on the Prime Directive violation question. I think Scott is projecting a lot of 2020 stuff here, says Reba Val. But I do appreciate Scotty's opinion about it, and I think we both have really good points, and both perspectives are really needed for this episode. Darius Munchausen says they barely survived meeting the Greek god Apollo, and now they have to contend with the Canaanite Phoenician god Baal. Oh, I didn't even think about what the correlation was between Baal and Baal. Thank you, Darius. I'll have to look into that later.
That's a good question.
Just because something is not explained doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And that's true. Survival trumps everything except love, says James Caserta. And Cam says Baal was definitely a stand-in for Baal, the Babylonian god of step pyramid fame. Thank you, Cam. And Dalek says, I wasn't talking about this Star Trek episode, Jill. I was talking about the scene you were talking about from the Orville. That's what sucked. Oh, okay. Okay, now I understand. Thank you, Dalek. I was like, dang, you're really harsh on this episode. It wasn't that bad. That's a lot better. I don't know. That episode was kind of not the worst because it was just a wedding. Here's a wedding. Darius says, I've never seen Jill block anybody on any platform, but if she ever did, it would be for good reason. Yeah, no, I don't have anybody blocked. Can't think of anybody. So Phantom Boomer says, I always remembered everything I did while drunk, says Phantom Boomer. And Fiona says, if it was a comparison to Hitler, I'm not saying that it is. If Val treated the people badly, then there wouldn't be any conflict. He may be saying even the best possible outcome with Nazi is bad. And that's possible. It would be interesting to ask the writer of this episode what they were thinking when they wrote it. You've only seen Jill's good side, said James. And Cam is not happy to hear about the Dukes of Hazzard reboot. I hear there is a Time Bandits remake on the way. No, thank you. And I am coming up on time where I need to go. But Snow Messiah says there's enough energy in a bottle of mayo to send a rocket to the moon and back if you could convert the energy into something usable. And Franco Walker says, if they race swap Dukes of Hazzard, they would both get lynched. Look at where it's set. It says oh my God. I never really watched Dukes of Hazzard. Darius says, I've never heard Jill use the word gank before. Did I do that? And how appropriate for the frequent fate of the 1701 USS Enterprise. Oh, there we go. And we're at the point where Scotty left, so we're getting close. And cool. Fiona says, I'm happily married to a wonderful, smart, manly man who gets me. He proposed to me with a master replica TOS phaser with a ring on the emitter.
Now that's a match made in heaven.
Right. Who would know to do that?
I know, right? Fantastic.
That's awesome. And Darius says what they should invent is slip-on prophylactics so you can put on with no hands. Awesome.
Oh, okay. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
And remember to subscribe for Captain Infinity to hear him complain about me not reading the chat in time.
Sorry, Captain. We do our best.
Yeah, we do. I'm not sorry. I'm happy with the way I run my show.
I get behind on mine too as well.
Yeah, I get behind sometimes, but I do. That doesn't mean I don't read everything or appreciate the chat.
Yes, we do appreciate you, Captain. Very much so.
No, I was laughing when he said he trained us. It's like I'm inspired by Captain Finity to read the chat. I'm inspired by Doomcock to read the chat. I'm inspired by Clobber Times to read the chat. Nobody's making me do anything. It's just I don't know.
But we
It's
do
silly.
appreciate the knowledge that you passed on, Captain.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I like. That's why I go to Captain Finity's channel to learn stuff.
Absolutely.
But Gorilla's Random Thought says, it's great when I mess with people. Strangers get all mad, but it's way better when someone you talk to almost every day wonders if you're serious or just effing around. And Fiona says to Cam, it was cool. There was no way I was going to say no after that. It's not easy to get one of those phasers. They only made a very limited number.
I know they're supposed to be working on a tricorder right now. I think I've been watching updates on that through my email. I wish I could have gotten one of those phasers, and they had a Bluetooth communicator. I wish I could have got, but I didn't. Alas, that'll happen. I'm sure they're worth much more now.
Yeah, those sound amazing.
Yeah, they had a Bluetooth communicator that you could sync with your phone.
Yeah,
calls and everything.
Mark D with the C has one of those.
Jeez, yeah, he's got Mark C with the D with the C has everything.
Mm-hmm.
The man lives in a toy store. I love it.
And okay, yeah, that's what he was saying earlier about the Give Send Go. I don't know if they charge something when taking the money out, but for donations, they were really good.
Thank you, Bird.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, Cam says, I gotta go 45 minutes ago. Take it easy and be well, everybody.
You too, Cam. I need to talk to
that's
Cam.
10 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Snow Messiah says, I have a feeling that PB is less of a scatterbrain than I am. To set up a more coherent version of it so each panelist knows what to bring to the company picnic. Okay, there's some show notes going on there.
I'm a scatterbrain too, so I understand.
Right, that's why I have notes too. James Caserta says, was she the same girl who played Kelvin in the Kelvin and by any other name?
Well, I'm not sure of that.
Either. And Admiral Fiona says to Admiral Teague, my vote was that it didn't apply because this was an artificial stagnant society, not a civilization. And yeah, that makes sense, just like in Return of the Archons.
Okay, yeah, very cool.
Ball is pronounced ball, like a bale of hay. Oh, bale? So it's supposed to be Vol? I don't know. I thought it was Vol. Bale?
I thought it was ball. I don't know.
Well, maybe they're different because there's an apostrophe, so it's Bale.
Oh, and we've had Star Trek before where they mispronounce certain words within an episode depending on what character spoke them.
Yeah, and my problem also is that in Stargate SG-1 they have Goa'uld who are based on Egyptian gods, and they call theirs Baal also. And they have one named that. So that's why I've been saying fall, but I'm pretty sure in this episode it's fall. James Caserta says the only way to know what's going on is by going too far. That's an interesting philosophy. I missed. Playmates. Admiral Teague says Playmates has pretty good phasers, and I have the Bluetooth communicator too. And Fiona says, I think the phaser only costs over $2,000.
Probably does now. I'm sure it's worth it.
Oh my God.
At the time, it was a few hundred, but now who knows?
And thank you, Darius, for posting the link to Mark D with C's channel. Amazing channel with lots of cool stuff. And I don't know if I bet by now he's reached our goal for getting memberships, because some people are getting a beta thing where when you have 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours, you can start providing memberships on your channel.
Oh, that's cool. Well, you're almost there.
I know, but I'm not in the beta test, and my YouTube doesn't say that.
Okay.
But
maybe you have to achieve the 500 before they tell you.
Maybe. Well, we'll see then. Estelle Messiah says in SG1 they call anything Americanized name, ball, goals, etc. Well, unless you're McKay and you're talking about the ZPMs, he calls them ZPMs. So Canadian. Ball, bail. They didn't have vowels in that language anyway, says Darius. But I do appreciate the knowledge, Cardinalson. Fiona says, he is but more of an engineer these days. I like research and experiments. He likes making stuff, says Fiona says to James Caserta. Yeah, right. That's the kind of nerd my husband is too. More of an engineer who likes to make things. That's why he's not around here.
That's got to be handy around the house.
It really is.
Very cool.
He can. Right. We saved a bunch of money on the air conditioning dying because he knows how to change a fuse.
Oh, yeah. Big plus.
Franco Walker says, I couldn't afford the Bluetooth communicator. Oh.
Same here, Franco. I cried.
Snow Messiah says, fun fact. Baal and Zebub were combined to make the Beelzebub from the Bible. Baal roughly translates to Lord, and Zebub is Celtic for fly. A fly. Ooh, wow. I wonder if that's why they make 2 references to fly in this episode. That's an interesting proposition. And Admiral Teague says to Snail Messiah, that makes sense, as Baal has spread wherever the Roman army went and was a BFD in England and Ireland. And so I just want to thank everybody for being here. And thank you to Scotty, who had to go, and Pop Culture Curator, who's here, and everybody in the chat for providing such wonderful discussion on this episode. You never know what episode is going to provide all this great conversation and argument and everything.
True.
Mm-hmm. And Fiona says, I love how they do that. It's a tremendous amount of subtext. It shows that they have any inherent contempt of things alien. You can learn about the character by how they pronounce names. It's true. And so I'm going to play the clip for next week. Next week, we're going to do the absolutely incredible, wonderful episode. Okay, I don't mean to prejudge it, but it's going to be Mirror Mirror. We all know Ross.
Finally, right. I'm so excited. Or City on the Edge of Forever Part 2, kind of the sequel.
Oh, yeah, you think that? Wow. And I can't wait to hear about why. I'll wait until next Tuesday. Don't tell me now. Okay, so Fiona says she can't wait to be a member of Jill's channel. That is so sweet of you. I'd have to figure out what to actually provide, because I know if you make a membership, you've got to do extra. So I don't know what.
Isn't it usually like avatars?
Yeah, there's that. That's too easy though. Just the emojis. I'd have to do member stream at least.
Well, that's true,
but I'd want to do more than that because I'm over. I like to go the extra mile. So I don't know what I do. I'll have to think about it. But thank you guys, everybody, for being here. I will see you guys next time. Oh, wait. We got a few more chats here. And Dave G. Sounds wants to thank me for being on, and you, Pop Culture, and Scotty. Admiral Teague says, another excellent show, Joe. Thanks for the show. It was a fun discussion, says Wes Cagle. Take care, everyone, and much love to you all.
Thank you, Franco.
Once Stargate SG-1 realized they had been mispronouncing Baal, they had to pronounce it that way for the rest of the series, says Cardinalson.
Too late to change it now, I guess.
Yeah. And Wes Cagle says, isn't the Doomsday Machine next in order? Well, if you're going broadcast order, but I'm going in production order. So if you look at a production list, Mirror Mirror is next. Thank you, Wes Cagle. And thank you, Franco Walker. And James Caserta, thank you for being here. He's building a Megatron. Then we'll see. Oh, member chats. Oh, that's true too. That's also okay. That's also a benefit for members. Thank you, Fiona. Bale is a demon, says James Caserta. Okay. Okay. So bye, guys.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, wait, I almost forgot. Tell us again what you're doing tonight.
I'm going to be doing a stream tonight. We usually do our horror sci-fi stream at 6 p.m. Pacific, but I didn't know I was going to have a roof over my head today, honestly. So now that I know I am, and I'm happy about it, I'll just do a spontaneous horror sci-fi stream where we can talk about anything you want to. It'll be open panel, open topic, any horror movie, sci-fi, whatever you want to talk about, and that's what we'll do tonight. So if you can join us, that'd be wonderful. And then tomorrow I'll be on my back. We'll return with our Gilligan's Island stream. I think I missed a week or two of that, so I will be there with Gorilla's Random Thoughts.
Well, that'd be good. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All thanks to all of you and your support.
And normally on Thursday I do Quantum Leap, and normally on Friday I have a Friday show. But this week I am nixing both the shows so that I could focus on my son, who is getting older, and so I'm having a birthday party for him. So I'm
yay
do
for
all
him!
That stuff on those days. Yeah, yay for him! It's gonna be fun. Dave and Buster's.
Ooh, even more fun! Oh yeah, that's a birthday to remember.
Right, he's getting older, so he gets the cooler birthdays now.
Right, none of this Chuck E. Cheese stuff.
Yeah, he's graduated from Chuck E. Cheese. and so thank you guys for being here. I'll play us out with Mirror Mirror. See you next time.
Bye everybody. Take care.
Captain's log, stardate unknown. I command an enterprise where assassination of superiors is a common means of advancing in rank.
You must know what you're doing.
Let me go! Spock! Get these men off me!
Spock! You traitors! All right, Spock. Whatever your game is, I'll play it.
Our minds are merging, Doctor. I am ordered to kill you and to proceed against the Halkans as the new captain of the Enterprise.